Welcome to Pack Publishing's Magento Beginner's Guide. I'm Scott Tolinsky, and I'm going to be walking you through the process of creating a Magento store from scratch. So, as you probably know by now, Magento is a very powerful e-commerce software that you can use to sell your products online with ease, and it also has the flexibility to really do whatever you need. In fact, you can see people from Vizio to Nike to Tom's, Fiji Water, all sorts of people are using Magento. And what's great about Magento is that you can use it too for free. With the Magento Community Edition, we can download, install, and get a store set up online with little effort and have the same software that the large companies are using. So what do you need to do first? Well, first we need to come to magentocommerce.com. And you're going to have to create an account before you download anything. So go ahead and create an account on this page. And then once you have your account signed in and all ready to go, we can go to download. And then we're going to click Community Edition. Community Edition is a free version of Magento. The other versions available are Magento Go, which is a paid monthly subscription where it's hosted on Magento, and the enterprise version, which is an enterprise solution where you're going to have lots of support and a lot of flexibility. However, with the Community Edition, you have complete control over your code. The only thing is you don't have customer support, that kind of thing. So if you run into issues, you're going to be looking on web forums and you're going to be doing Googling to find out exactly what went wrong and how to fix it. So now that you're logged in, we can come down here to the most recent release. At the time of recording this video, the most recent release is 1.7.0.2. And you can see that there's a couple of different things here. There's a preview release of 1.8, that's the alpha. There's some sample data, that's database repair tool. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. Well, to get this site going, we're going to install it with the sample data, and we're going to be installing just the full release. So we're going to select, I'm just going to pick this tar.gz. This might download a little bit faster than the zip. And it's going to go ahead and get downloaded. While that's downloading, it's going to take me to this page. It's going to tell you how to get started. However, I want to go back because I want to get this sample data as well. So if we scroll down here, we can scroll down until we see sample data. And the most recent version of this sample data is 1.6.1. And if you can tell, this sample data hasn't been updated since 2011. That's because there's really nothing to it. It's just some products, some images, some stuff to get you going. So that way, when you're building your store, you're not starting with a blank slate. And because we're just learning Magento, this is going to be really useful to us. So I'm also going to select this tar.gz version, and I'm going to click download. And that's going to download as well. So now that we have everything downloaded, we're going to continue in the next video with installing the sample data and creating our database. So in these videos, I'm going to be installing Magento on my local host using MAMP Pro. However, you can install Magento right on your own server using something like cPanel, or on Windows, you can use an application called WAMP for a similar environment. Now that I've downloaded Magento, I've unzipped it, and I've put it in a sites folder that MAMP Pro is going to be looking at. And you can see here, these are the contents of this Magento folder. This is all the files that it takes to make up our site. Now over here, I also have the sample data, and the sample data comes with two things. It comes with the media folder, which we will be adding to our site files, and this sample data for the database. So we'll have to add this sample data to the database before we install the site. So to do that, you're going to want to go to phpMyAdmin here, and we're going to be creating a database. I got to phpMyAdmin because I'm using MAMP Pro just by clicking this Web Start button. However, whatever method you're using, you just need to get to phpMyAdmin and we'll be fine. So the first thing we want to do is create a new database. And this is going to be, we'll just call this Magento. We're going to keep it super simple here. And we're going to click Create. And we now have a database created named Magento. We can import by clicking this Import button, and we can find the SQL file that came with our sample data. So let's click this Import and then Choose File. Now in my sample data folder, I'm going to select this SQL file, this Magento sample data, and I'm going to click open, and we'll click go right here, and it's going to import this SQL data into our database. So this sets it up so that before Magento installs, that when we go through the installation, the database is going to see all these products in here, and it's going to know how to handle that. Okay, as you can see, it's populated our database with a whole bunch of tables. This is great because this is what we need to get our sample data going. The next thing we need to do is we need to take the contents of this media folder and distribute them into our Magento media folder. So if we open up our Magento media folder and then we open up the sample data, you'll see that this just has a catalog and there's no catalog inside here, so we can just drop them right inside here and we're going to be fine. So that's the last step to get the sample data installed. So even though we don't have Magento installed yet, the sample data is now installed and we should be ready to go. So if your server's all started up like it is here, if you browse to your local host, in this case mine's Magento, refresh, it's going to take you to this install page. In the next video, we're going to pick up here and show you how to get going with the install. So this video is going to show you how to correctly set up the permissions for your site. And this will be useful if you're getting errors during your installation. Chances are if you're doing a one-click install or if you have your own server, you might not run into any permissions errors. In fact, you can go ahead and go to the installation video first, and then if you're having permissions errors, please come back to this video. However, if you do notice that you're having issues, you can watch this video to see the correct permission settings. So before we get going here and installing Magento, we want to make sure that our file permissions are correct. So if you're on your home computer and you can get to your command line, please open up your terminal, or if you're on your own server, you can SSH into your server to gain command line access. So what you're going to need to do is find the directory where your site's located. And so I know where mine's located. It's in my sites. And once you've navigated to your site, you can type find space period space hyphen type f hyphen xec chmod, and notice the spaces in between these here, and 644, and then we're going to do brackets / then colon. Now we can hit enter, and what this is doing is it's finding all of the files that are in our site, and it's changing their file permissions to 644, just the files. Now we're going to, after this command is through, we're going to need to run a similar command that finds all of the folders and changes them to 755. So we can type find period hyphen type space, and then this time D for directories, and then the rest is the same except for the numbers need to be 755 brackets / semicolon. And if you're not familiar with the command line, don't worry about it. In fact, you may not run into permissions issues. I'm just doing this preemptively to make sure I don't. And we'll just have to do a couple of more commands here. We'll just type chmod and then o + w var and then var hyphen or var / .htaccess and then app / etc. So this is just guaranteeing that these files and directories are going to have the right permissions. And lastly, we're going to type chmod -R o + w media. Great. So if you're having permissions errors, things are telling you they don't have the right permissions, then go to your command line or SSH into your site and use these commands to set the permissions correctly. So we have our file permission set up, we have our sample data installed, our database is created, and our web browser is pointing at the directory that our site is living in because we're using MAMP and our host right now is this Magento. And you'll notice it automatically redirects you to index.php/install. And so this is exactly where we want to be, and it takes you to this Magento installation wizard. This first thing it gives you is this open software license, and you can go ahead and read through this. You can get the basic idea of it pretty quickly. It's not that long. You also notice a link to having trouble with installing Magento. Check out our installation guide. This installation guide can be handy if you're running into any issues during the installation. I'm going to click I agree to these above terms and conditions and click continue. And because I'm based in the United States, I'm going to say locale is English United States, and my time zone is going to be Eastern, so set this up wherever your store is located. Eastern Standard Time, America, New York. And currency is going to be US dollars for this site. Now let's click continue. And it's going to ask about your database type. We're using a MySQL database, and the host is going to be localhost. However, our database name was Magento, so it got this right. If this is incorrect, make sure that this name is the exact same name that we gave to your database when you created it in phpMyAdmin. Now, this is going to be your username and password for the database. And in MAMP, it's root and root by default. So if you're using MAMP, please check root and root. If you're using other software, please check to see what the default username and password is for the database. And we don't have any prefix on our tables, so we're going to leave this blank. And our base URL is just going to be the default here. This is what our server is set up to do right now. And an admin path is just going to be /admin. However, you can change this to be /backend control, whatever you'd like. I like admin just because it's pretty standard. And this enabled charts allows you to have charts displayed on your dashboard. I like the charts. They're a great way to visually see how many sales and customers you're having. So we'll leave on enabled charts. And don't worry about the skip base URL validation. It says check this box only if it is not possible to automatically validate the base URL. Well, that shouldn't be a problem, and we shouldn't need to check anything else. And since we don't have an SSL installed already, we're not going to click this SSL available yet. Maybe further down the line, we'll install an SSL and we'll turn that on later in the configuration of our site. For now, we're going to ignore it. And we're going to have this save session data in the file system, and let's click continue. So it looks like everything has gone well, and it's asking for the admin account information. I'm going to give it my admin account information, and these are my settings here. Of course, you're going to want your own information here. My username I'm going to leave as admin, and you're going to want to make sure your password is secure, because this is going to be the administrative password for your site. Anybody who has this password would be able to theoretically destroy your site or get your customers' data, all sorts of stuff. So you're not going to want anybody to have this password. And this encryption key, we're going to let Magento generate itself, because if you leave this blank, Magento will completely take care of it. We don't have to worry about it. So let's click continue. So now that I click continue, it gives me this URL set. It gives you your encrypted key. So make sure you keep this in a safe place, maybe print it out or something, save it in a file that, maybe is indescript or something that no one's going to necessarily see. So now we've officially installed Magento. You can click this go to front end, and it'll take you to the front end. And you can click this go to your back end, and it's going to take you to the administration panel. But if you go to your front page, you can see you've installed Magento. So to wrap up the installation process, all we really need to do is to 1, check to make sure the front end of our site is working. And you can do that just by browsing to your web address. And if you'll notice, we have all the sample products in here and everything. If we go to any of these pages, you can click around and see the site is working. You can even add things to your cart. It's pretty amazing. Another thing we're going to want to do is click on the admin section. So it's just your site /admin. And enter your username and password that we set during installation. Click login, and you'll be greeted with this installation message. This is basically every time messages get pushed from Magento, they come in this incoming message. You can click read details, and it's going to take you to a link on their site with the details. However, you can click close for this, and you'll notice that these messages come and go. You can go to this messages inbox by clicking right here. And for now, select all, and you can actions remove them because they're just going to keep showing up. And you don't really need them. So another thing we can see here is that it says base URL is not recommended for use in production site. So let's click configuration here, and this is basically saying that our secure and unsecure base URLs are set to just base URL. It's referencing itself really. So we're going to select this to be the actual URL of the site like this. So if we add this to base URL unsecure and then base URL under secure, we save this message should go away. Also, it's important to notice that in our base URLs, both of them here, that we see this note here that says make sure that the base URL ends with the /. This is because we need this / here. So when you're adding this information, make sure you have this. That way your base URL is going to function properly. Also, it's important to notice that in our base URLs, both of them here, that we see this note here that says make sure that the base URL ends with the /. This is because we need this / here. So when you're adding this information, make sure you have this. That way your base URL is going to function properly. Nice. Okay, one more thing. It says our indexes are out of date. Well, that's probably correct because we just installed this. Let's click this index management link, and you can see there's all the status indexing required. All you need to know about this right now is to click select all here, and then under actions, make sure it says reindex data and click submit. Once this is done, you'll see that these are all going to be green. Now, you might notice that this might take a second. However, ours has just finished, and you'll get this total of 9 indexes have been reindexed. So great. Now we can click the logo here, and it's going to take us to our dashboard. Let's click here to enable our chart, and it's going to take us to this configuration page where we can select dashboard, enable charts, yes, save config, and our chart seems to be working fine now, although we have no data. Also, you may have noticed while clicking around the front end of your site that your URL, even though we specified the base URL as being just whatever you had your server name here, it actually has a /index.php here as well. And many people don't like that. I, in fact, like a clean URL. So to get rid of this index.php, we need to add something to this htaccess file. Now, it's important to note that the htaccess file is going to be a hidden file because it starts with a dot if you're not familiar with htaccess files. And in fact, if I bring in my Finder here, you can see that the file is grayed out. And you might not see this in your particular browser, your file browser, whether it's Windows or Mac. You might need to turn on invisible files or use an application that allows you to see invisible files. If you use an FTP client like Transmit, you can often see invisible files simply by going to View, Show Invisible Files, and then you get these dot files as well. So we're going to want to open this in a text editor, and it can be in any text editor of your choice, and we're just going to add a line to it. Now, inside of this htaccess file, you're going to see some stuff, but what we're looking for is the rewrite base. So if you do a Command F or just a find, we're going to look for rewrite, and you can see it's right here, this rewrite base, and you'll notice there's a £sign in front of it. So what we need to do is delete this £sign, essentially uncommenting this, and then we can delete this part that says Magento, and then delete this / here. So we really just have rewrite base space / and what this is going to do is say that the base of your website is located at just /. Now that we've uncommented that line and modified it, we can go to System, Configuration, then under Web, we can select Search Engine Optimization, and we want to change this Use Web Server Rewrites to Yes. Now that we click Save, we might have to clear the cache here. So this has been saved. Let's come to our cache management under System. Click that. We can flush Magento's cache, and it looks like Magento's cache has been flushed. Now let's visit our site. Now, whenever we visit any of our links, you'll see that we no longer have the index.php in between this URL here. So you have Magento installed, and in the next couple of videos, we're going to be going over the administrative panel, and we're going to see all it has to offer, all the different configurations you can do, and you'll get your site up and running in no time. So now that we have our site installed and it's working, the first thing we're going to want to do is go to the administrative section of our website. To do that, you just need to browse to your site/admin. Now, if you aren't currently logged in, it's going to ask for your login credentials that you created when you started up your account during installation. Since I'm already logged in, it did not ask me for that. When you log in, it takes you directly to the dashboard, which you can have all of the information that you need at your fingertips, such as your best sellers, your most viewed products, new customers, last 5 orders, and there's even going to be a graph of your sales history over the last 24 hours, 7 days, current month, or year to date. So this is going to be a really helpful tool for you. So what kind of things are you going to see in this backend, the administrative panel? Well, this is where you're going to manage what products you have, what categories you have. This is where you're going to be managing your orders, your sales, your customers, your reviews, your product ratings. Pretty much anything that needs to be modified on the site is going to be in this administrative panel. So in the next couple of videos, we're going to show you how and where to go to look at your sales, look at your customers, look at your categories, catalog your products, your promotions, where to go for all this stuff, and then how to start configuring your website. We're going to talk about creating users and setting up permissions, as well as changing your theme. So check out the next couple of videos and get ready to set up your store. So the first sections we're going to be going over are the dashboard, sales, and catalog and customer sections. We're going to be skipping mobile because this course is not going to focus on creating a mobile version of your site. So what you'll notice about the dashboard is that its main purpose is to just give you information. In fact, you can, if you have multiple stores, you can see those stores individually, as well as which store between your different languages. Let's see, we have by default an English, French, and German store, which one is getting what kind of sales. So by default, this is set to all store views. However, you can dial that down if you want to see more specifics. This section on the left is going to show you your lifetime sales, now average orders, last 5 orders, last 5 search terms, top 5 search terms, and on the right, we have your order graph, which will show an actual graph of orders over the past 24 hours. You can widen this to be year to date, 2 years to date, current month, last 7 days, and you can even see amounts. This at the bottom gives you quick access to your revenue, tax, shipping, and how many items have been sold. We also have your most viewed products, your best sellers, new customers, and just customers. So since this is just a demo store, we don't have a ton of information here yet, but once you start selling products, this information is going to populate and this dashboard is going to become more and more useful. So next we have sales. Under sales, there's all sorts of great information of things that you're going to want to know. First we have orders. So every time an order comes into your store, it's going to be populated here. Next we have invoices. Once you have your product pulled and you make it into an invoice, it's going to show up in here. This way you can keep track of what's been invoiced, what hasn't, and then of course shipments is going to be which products have shipped. This way you can quickly get to any of this information if you want. You'll also notice that you can sort by the shipment number, date shipped, order number, order date, or shipping name just by clicking on any of these columns. Now, we won't notice anything yet, but once we start placing orders on our fictional site here, we'll see this start to populate, and this sorting is going to be more and more useful. You can also bulk create PDFs and print shipping labels. However, we're going to go into that in more detail once we go over the order process itself. Next, we have credit memos. This is if you're going to be crediting somebody. This is going to show up in here. All of these things you can do from the order itself, which again, we're going to go over once we place an order. Now we also have transactions. We have reoccurring profiles, which let's say if you have a customer who's going to be reoccurring every single month or every 2 weeks, ordering the same thing, you can set them up. We also have billing agreements. and terms and conditions here. If we want to add a new terms and conditions, you can add your condition name, you can enable it, and you can give it its content here. We're going to go over these all in more detail. This video is really just an overview of what exists in this section. So we also are able to manage our tax rules. So there's all sorts of great stuff for tax rules here. You can get a look at some of their default ones in here. However, we're going to go over setting up tax in section 6 of this video series. So don't worry about if you understand these or not. Feel free to poke around and see exactly what's here. Also, next on the list is we have catalog. So catalog is where you're going to be managing anything related to your products. So this is going to be your products, your categories, and your product attributes. So if we manage products, you'll see all of the products we have. By clicking on these, it takes you to the actual product edit screen. Now if we go back, we can go to manage categories. We can see furniture, electronics, and apparel. This will mimic the front navigation of our site. In section 3, we're going to show you how to create new categories and manage all of these. Next, we have attributes. Notice how we have manage attributes and attribute sets. An attribute is something like a color or a size, where an attribute set is a group of attributes that you would use on a product. For instance, a t-shirt might have color and size, where a coffee mug wouldn't have those same attributes. So you would make an attribute set for t-shirts or coffee mugs, or basically any general category. This way, when you create products, Magento knows what sort of attributes to assign to that product. Next, we have URL rewrite management. Every single time you create a page, it creates a request path and a target path. Now, in the instance where you're creating paths and something isn't quite right, let's say you've created a path, you've deleted something, and then you've created another product with the same name, the path might get a little bit messed up. So you can come in here and modify the URL rewrite. Now, if we go to search terms, you're going to see the most recent search terms starting at the very most recent. And these are pre-populated because these are built in to the data that we installed when we installed the Magento. It also put some search terms so you could see these in action. You'll notice it says that test has been searched. It has 8 results, and it has been searched 654 times. This is really great data because you know what people are looking for on your site. This can allow you to change the words in your product descriptions or product titles to allow for people to find them easier through the search. Next, we have reviews and ratings. As you would expect, you can manage your reviews and ratings here. Notice how you can go into pending reviews, and once there is a pending review, it will show up here and you'll be able to approve it to show up on the site. We also have tags. Products can be tagged by all sorts of things. If you notice, here's all of our tags. Also, customers can tag your products. When a customer tags your products, it goes into pending tags. We could then come in here and approve them or delete them based on how relevant those tags are. Next, under Google Sitemap, this allows you to create a sitemap so that Google can easily find your site and then submit it using something like Google Webmaster Tools. Last on this tour, we're going to take you to customers. As you can imagine, this is where you're going to be managing your customers. If we click Manage Customers, you'll see that John Doe is an example here. Here we can go in and change some of John Doe's information. Let's say he wanted to modify his email address or his normal address. You could do it for him if he did not want to do it himself. You could also set up customer groups. Notice how we have general, not logged in, this QAAA, retailer, and wholesale. You could come up with your own customer groups and then be able to assign pricing based on those customer groups. Now, we also want to see online customers. You'll see everyone that's on your site currently. It's going to give you their IP address, and if they're logged in, it's going to give you their first name, last name, and email. So this way you can monitor who's on your site currently. So that's it for these sections. In the next video, we're going to go over promotions, newsletter, CMS, and system. In the last video, we're going to go over this very deep configuration menu. Then we're going to show you how to create users and permissions and then change your theme. So now that you've learned about sales, customers, and the dashboard, we're going to talk about promotions next. So promotions is where you enable your catalog price rules and your shopping cart price rules. A catalog price rule is something like we have here, a 20% off selected furniture. This is going to be promotions that take place on the catalog products themselves. Let's say if you wanted a 10% off shipping or 10% off your order sort of thing, you would want that to be on your shopping cart because that's going to take it off the entire shopping cart amount, where these catalog price rules are going to do it on the products themselves. So you can go through here and see exactly how they created these to modify them or just try to change them to your fitting, and you can turn them on. Notice how you can have them starting on a date and ending on a date, or you can have them just be active for all dates, never turn off until you tell them to turn off. Next we have newsletter. Here you can create newsletter templates that you can send out to people who sign up for your site. You'll see on the front end of our site, on some pages we have this sign up for a newsletter box. We sign up for a newsletter, and here it's going to add them to our newsletter list. And here we can create our templates. A newsletter queue, we can queue up actual newsletters to go out. And newsletter subscribers is where we're going to manage the people who are subscribing to our newsletter. Newsletter problem reports is if there's any sort of report about it not receiving, a particular person not receiving the email template or something like that, it's going to go under here. Next we have CMS. So CMS is going to manage a host of different things. It stands for Content Management System. And notice we have pages, static blocks, widgets, and polls. Pages are what you'd expect. The home page is a page. We have About Us as a page. Customer Service is a page. Basically, anything that's not a dynamically created page is going to be in here. So anything that you'll see here, these, like this furniture page, this is dynamically created, so this won't be under CMS. But if you wanted to create a page like About Us and just have it be a page to do whatever you'd like with, then this is going to be under Manage Content Pages. This is also where you'd go to edit the content. So if we click on any of these, you can edit the content for the home page, the About Us page, or anything like that. Next, we have static blocks. A static block is sort of like a page. However, it's a block that just shows up somewhere. So instead of being an entire page, it's just a grouping of content. Notice the footer links, if we click on this, is About Us, Customer Service, and Privacy Policy. If we, on our page, we scroll down, we'll see that those links appear here as About Us, Customer Service, and Privacy Policy. So this area right here, these three links, is just a block. Also, you'll notice that this electronics landing block, if you go to the electronics landing page, shows up before any of our products here. And it's a little wonky with this theme. However, this block of content right here is a block that we made, well, the default theme made, and then told to show up here. So this is useful whenever you have content that you want to be repeated throughout the store somewhere, and you could create it once and have it repeat on other pages. Now a widget, you can use widgets to create a most recent product listing. You can even use them to display a block on a certain page. We'll go over widgets in more detail in section 5. Next, we have polls. So you'll see what's your favorite color and what's your favorite Magento feature are two polls that have already been created. If we go on some of our pages, you'll see this community poll pop up, and you can turn these polls off entirely if you don't want polls. However, they might be helpful for gathering information about what your customers want to see on your store. To modify any of them, feel free to just click on them and go into them. And last, we have System. System is the largest category in the administrative section, and it does a whole lot. There's a ton in here. So we're actually going to take an entire video just to talk about this configuration section here, but we'll go over these. So my account is going to talk about exactly the admin account on this site. Notice how it has my email, my first name, last name, and my username. Here you can create a new password for the administrative account if you would like. Now, notifications. This is going to be whenever, if you remember when you first installed your site, there was a whole bunch of messages in here, maybe a new version of Magento, anything like that is going to land in notifications. Now, tools, you can use this to create backups. Compilation is something you shouldn't really have to touch. It's more about the internals of Magento, and we're not going to be covering that in this video series. Web services also won't be covered in this series because it's advanced use. Next, under design, we can have a design change that runs from a certain date to a certain date. This is something like if you have a holiday design that you want to enable, you can set it so it only shows up on the holidays, and that's it. And then it automatically will turn itself off. Import and export allows you to import and export products with a CSV file, and you can import or export as many products as you would like. You can transfer an entire store this way. Let's say for some reason you were unhappy with Magento Community and wanted to try Magento Go, you could export all of your products out of this Magento and import them into another one. This is going to save you the time of having to recreate that data. Next, we have Manage Currency. You shouldn't have to manage the currency on your site right now, but you can see it's just changing the symbol for the US dollar or the euro. And that we're not going to go too much more into this other than that. Next, we have transactional emails. This is where you set up the emails that are going to go out when somebody has purchased a product or created an account or anything like that. By adding new templates, you can modify existing Magento templates to say what you would like to say on them in case you do not like what the defaults are. Next, we have custom variables. Now, if you need to set up a variable that's used throughout the site, like a phone number or something like that, and anytime you want to use it, you'll just drop in, let's say you're on a page or something like that, you can just drop in this variable instead of having to type it. That way, if it needs to change ever, you only have to change it in one spot. So this is going to be handy if you're creating a lot of content with blocks or pages. Next, we have permissions. Here, you can create user permissions and roles. We're going to be going over that later in a video in this section. Magento Connect is how you install Magento extensions. Cache management is how you flush and clear your cache. Caching is going to make your site run faster, so you're going to want to leave all of these things on, unless of course you're theming your site or anything like that. Next, we have index management. Sometimes when creating products or moving categories around, you need to update your index, and you'll be getting a message on the top of your screen. You may have gotten that when you installed Magento saying you need to update your index. You can come in here to do that. Next, we have manage stores. Notice how we have a website name, a store name, and a store view name. This is the main website, the main store, and it's going to be in English. The store view is just a view of the store. It's how it looks. Notice how we have English, French, and German, so those are going to be changing the language options. The store name is the main store because these are all built off of the same store. If you wanted to manage multiple different stores in a single Magento installation, you could create a new store. So last we have order statuses. Now here the defaults are all processing pending. You can change these if you'd like. However, there's not a whole lot of reason to change these unless you have particular verbiage that you're using in your store and that you'd like to have it say on these. However, you can leave these order statuses as they are and you shouldn't have to mess with them. In the next video, we're going to be showing you this configuration link here, and we're going to go into all the goodies in there. In this video, we're going to be talking about the configuration menu. I arrived here from System and then Configuration. So in this menu, you'll have the option to change all sorts of stuff that revolves around the configuration of your site. So notice in this first General tab, we have country options. These are the countries that you're going to allow to sell to. If you want to only sell to one country in particular, you can just select. Let's say we want to sell to the United States. To select multiple countries or all of them, we can hold Shift at the bottom, scroll all the way to the top, hold Shift and click to select all. So here you can select which postal code is optional for the following countries, European Union countries. There are a lot of options in here, so we may not be able to go over them all. However, feel free to click through here and see exactly what they are. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. So next we have store information. Here we're going to want to put our store information, so the store name would be our new store. This is going to be whatever your store name is. Here we can put a telephone number. I'm going to make mine fictional. And what country you're based out of. So I'm based out of the United States. I'm going to say United States. Here you can also put your store contact address or your VAT number if you'd like. If we click Save Configuration up here, this is going to update this information. Great, you'll get this message that says your configuration has been saved. Make sure that after you've changed anything, you click Save Config so that this information gets saved correctly. Under Web, we're going to see some other things. We've actually been here before when we changed our base URL. If you see Use Web Server Rewrites, you can select that to Yes. URL options, add store code to URLs. Notice how there's a warning here. this is set to no for a reason. I'm actually going to leave all this stuff set to the default settings. We're not going to have to modify these base URL settings again right now unless we have an SSL certificate that we've installed and want to modify that. For default pages, the default web URL is CMS. The default CMS homepage is going to be your homepage. So this is going to be when people are browsing your site for the first time, what page it is. You might not have to change this in anything. You'd just want to modify this homepage content itself. Notice how there's a CMS no route page. This is going to be your 404 page, enable cookies page. And this is saying if you want to show breadcrumbs for your CMS pages, we do. Next, we have polls. So this is going to allow or disallow people from voting multiple times from the same computer. Now, this is going to be your cookie lifetime, and this is going to be how long the cookies last. So we don't need to modify this. For session validation settings, we do not need to modify these either. These are all advanced settings that we shouldn't have to touch. Right out of the box, the session cookie information should be fine for you. This here is going to let your customers know if they have JavaScript disabled. JavaScript is required for these Magento stores, so you're going to want to make sure your customers are using JavaScript. Now, let's go to design here. Here, we can change our theme, we can do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to be going over this in a video later on in this same section and show you how to modify your theme. Now under currency setup, we have currency options. We're using the US dollar. Here you can change it to whatever your base currency is going to be. But since we set this up, when we set up the store, we shouldn't have to modify this either. Under store email addresses, this is if you have multiple email addresses to have people contact your store from. A general contact, you can give it a name and an address, sales representative, customer support, and then you can have two custom ones that you can assign to different tasks when people email you for different reasons. Now we have contacts. We have contact us. Do you want to enable this? We say yes. And email options. So this is going to email the contact us to this email, one of these email senders that we've already made, and the email template is going to be using this default template. When we create a new transactional template, you'll see that option in this dropdown. Next, under reports, this just lets you tweak the dashboard a little bit, changing your year-to-date and currently monthly stats. Under content management, we have the options of enable the WYSIWYG editor by default. The WYSIWYG editor is the text editor that you see when you modify a CMS page. Now we have a lot more options here. We have catalog, and catalog allows you to do all sorts of things with your products based on what grid the size they're in, how many products are being showed up, the way they're sorted, and what options are available to your users. This is asking if you want a tree-like category sitemap, and you can turn that on. This is if you want product reviews to be on, product alerts. You can alert when product price changes and all sorts of stuff like that. If you'll notice, there's lots of options in here. Because this video is just an overview, I just want to give you an idea about what's in each of these sections. You'll notice, based off these headlines, you should be able to get a good idea about what's in here. But usually if you need to tweak a setting on your website, it's in the system configuration. So next, under inventory, we can set if stock is decreased when an order is placed, stuff like that, what the only X left threshold is. This gives you an options of saying which products become out of stock and when. Under Google Sitemap, it allows you to change the frequency and the priority of different pages in your Google Sitemap. This is useful because it lets Google know how much to check your site. Now in RSS feeds, you can turn on your RSS feeds, which are all turned off by default. This allows you to notify people of new products and special products, that kind of thing, based off of RSS. Now, email templates, this is email to a friend. So if you're going to be emailing a product to a friend, which is an option on the products page, you can turn that on here and set the template this way. Newsletter is going to be the newsletter subscription options. This just allows you to choose the default templates and the email senders which they're being sent from. Under customer configuration, this allows you all sorts of customer options, whether they need a CAPTCHA on the front end. Here's some address templates, login options, create new account options, online customer options, and account sharing options. So anything you want to tweak your customer accounts is going to be in here. Wishlist, this is going to be where you manage your wishlist options. This is basically if it's enabled or not. and what templates you're using when you choose to share your wish list with another customer. Again, with promotions, auto-generated specific coupon codes, this sets the code length, the code format, and you can give this customization just in case you have codes that you're already using or a way that you like to generate your codes. Persistent shopping cart, this can turn on or off the persistent shopping cart. By default, it's disabled. Now, if we go under sales, this is going to be our sales configuration options. So this is the things that the customer is seeing, the invoice packing slip design. You can add a logo to your PDF here, change the address. You can have a minimum order amount. You can show aggregated data in the dashboard. And gift options, you can allow gift messages on an order level or gift messages on an order item. Next, we have sales emails. So when certain transactions happen, and let's say an order is placed or when an order is placed or set to be invoiced or shipped, it's going to fire out an email to the customer. This is where you can change the template and what email sender it is being sent from. Here in PDF printouts, this is going to be where you modify your PDF printouts. There isn't a whole lot of options here, just display order and ID and header. Now tax, this is going to be where you have your tax set up. We're going to have a whole video on how to set up your tax, so don't worry about that. Next, checkout. We have our checkout options. This is going to enable a one-page checkout, which basically allows your users to check out without having to reload multiple pages. Now, shopping cart, and all sorts of stuff like that. Anything you need to tweak is in here. Now our shipping settings, this is just going to be the origin and the option, so if you allow shipping to multiple addresses and where it exactly is shipping from. However, if you want to set up your actual shipping methods, that's under here. We'll go over this in an entire video in itself. For Google API, this is where you can hook into Google Analytics or Google Checkout. And if you're using Google Checkout as a payment gateway, then this is where you go right here to enable. Next, we have payment methods. Under payment methods is where we can choose to use PayPal as a payment gateway. There's also authorize.net and saved credit card, check or money order. Pretty much any of your payment methods are going to be right under here. Of course, we're going to be talking about these in a video of their own. Next, we have payment services. 3D secure credit card validation. This is if you have this service available, you can put in this information here. And money bookers. This is if you're using a money bookers account. You can do so by configuring it and adding it here. Next, we have Magento Core API. You shouldn't have to touch anything here. This is just going to be the character set, the client session timeout, that kind of stuff. And then under admin system, advanced and developer are really advanced things that you shouldn't have to get into unless you're wanting to modify some of the more advanced themes on your site, or let's say you're building a theme or something like that. So this is the configuration section. It's big. Feel free to click around. You're going to want to see and know exactly what's in here because you're going to be using it quite frequently when setting up your store. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create new users for your site. In addition to creating users, you can set up groups of permissions so that some users don't have access to the same things as other users. That way, if you only want someone to be able to manage your catalog and not see anything else, you can do that. Before we create a new user, we're going to want to create a new role. And a role is just a set of permissions that a user has. To do this, we're going to go to System, and then Permissions, and then Roles. Now here, you'll see that administrators are a role that already exists. If we click on this one, you can see that if we click under Role Resource, it says All. So let's go back to Permissions Roles, and let's create a new role. Click Add New Role, and we're going to call this, we're just going to say Catalog Manager. So this catalog manager is only going to be able to have access to our catalog and modifying that. So now we've created a new role. If we click on this, we can go to Role Resources, and notice by default it's selected to Custom. You could select it to All, however we want this to be Custom. we don't want them to see any of our sales data, so we're going to close this, and what we want is just our catalog. So if we click all this root catalog, it's going to select everything here. So these catalog users will be able to manage our reviews, they're going to be able to manage our products, they're going to be able to manage our attributes, everything that's listed here. So if we click Save Role, so now let's create a new user by going to Permissions, Users. And let's click Add New User. And their username is just going to be Catalog. And I'm just naming it this because it's easy for me to remember right now. And the first name, last name, I'm going to actually leave as my own. And I'll have a different email of mine. And coming up with the password. Now I can select the user's role as Catalog Manager, and we'll save this user. It's once again reminding me that my password needs to be 7 or more characters and contain numeric and alphabetic characters. We'll click Save User, and this user's been saved. Now, if I go to our admin section, while being not logged in, and I enter our new user's information, I'm logged in, and notice I don't have any of the options up here except for catalog, and it defaults to manage products. So now they can manage anything under products, but that's it. They don't have access to any of your sales data or anything like that. This is perfect if you have sensitive information and you don't want every single person that's using your website to be able to get to that information. So this is how you create new permissions and users. Keep in mind, you can give your user roles as many or as little permissions as you like simply by checking those checkboxes. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change your theme in Magento. In your Magento installation, inside of Skin, Front End, you'll see two folders, a base and a default. Base contains the base styles and themes for your website. These files should not be modified and act as a fallback to any theme file that's missing within these other folders. If we come to System Configuration, we can then go down to Design, and then we can click Themes and Packages. You'll notice that our current package name is default. We also have default here. So if we want to use a different theme within default, we could be using any of these here. So you'll notice that it gives you the option to use different translations, templates, skin layout, and set what a default is. So let's say we want to use this modern theme. Well, if we paste this modern in for templates and skin and layout, let's save our config, and we go to the front end of our site, you'll notice that our site is now using this modern theme. Looks quite a bit different. This is changing all sorts of things from the layout to the CSS. If you've installed a theme on your site from a third party or from a theme marketplace, chances are the installation instructions would have you put it within the skin front end folder. And then you would basically set the current package name to be whatever this folder is on the outside here, and then the skin and or layout to be whatever the name of the theme. So let's pick another one. Let's pick this blue theme right here. And if we change the name here, we can save this configuration and see how it looks on our site. Great, so this is another theme. So this is how you can change the look of your website. If you've installed third-party themes, you can really substantially change how this looks. Built into Magento, there are just these couple of themes. However, you're going to get the most out of it by building your own or finding one in a marketplace. So in this section, we're going to talk about creating categories and attributes. Now, we'll go over attributes in depth in the next couple of videos. In this first video, we're just going to talk about categories. And you may have noticed in your main navigation of your site, you have furniture, electronics, cell phones, cameras, computers, apparel, all these are categories. And these are only here if you installed the sample data. If you didn't install the sample data, you won't see these categories in here. However, we're going to be creating our own category from scratch in this video and adding it to this main navigation. So to do that, you need to be logged into your site. So to get there, we need to go to Catalog, Manage Categories. Now, if we click on the root category, you'll see it loads it up here. It shows its name and ID up top here, and you can change its name. However, root category is fine at this point. And what we want to do is we want to add a subcategory of apparel. So to do that, we'll then click Apparel, and you'll see there's a plus button next to it here. If we click that, you can see all of these subcategories. You can see there's pants, which is grayed out because it's disabled. However, we want to add a subcategory, and it's going to be hats. So if we select apparel, you can see it's loaded up by saying apparel up top here. We can then click Add Subcategory. And now it's going to say New Subcategory. And we'll just call this Hats. And we don't need a description right now. However, if you'd like a description, you can certainly add one. We also don't have an image or anything like this. For the page title, we're just going to say hats as well. And we don't need any meta description right now. However, when finishing up your site, you're going to want to have a description in these. And let's select is active, and we'll select yes. And that's pretty much all we need to do right now. If we click Save Category, you'll see that hats has showed up here. And let's come to our home page and refresh. Now if we hover over apparel, you can see we have a new category here. If we click hats, it's going to tell us there's no products matching hats. Well, we're going to change that in the future by creating an attribute set for hats and creating our attributes and everything. And then we're going to create products for hats, which is going to populate this page. However, we have created a category. In the next video, we're going to talk about further modifying these categories. So in the last video, we created our new category, hats. And now you'll notice that there's nothing in hats, there's no content at all. So one thing we can do quickly is we can add a description. We can just paste in some dummy text in here, and you can see how this is going to look once we save this page. Now if we go to our hats and refresh, you'll see there's text before the products show up. This is nice if you need a description for your products. Now another thing you might wonder is, we have hats down here as the very bottom thing, but let's say we're designing this navigation to start at the top of your body and go to the bottom. So obviously we want hats, then shirts, then hoodies, then shoes, because your shoes go on your feet. So how can we rearrange this navigation? Well, luckily, the Magento system makes this really easy on us. And instead of having to mess with any values anywhere, we can actually click and drag where we want things. After a moment to resettle itself, you'll see that it saves it and everything is good. So now if we get hats, shirts, let's move hoodies up, and let's move pants above shoes even though it's not active, just in case we ever need to activate it. Now when we go to our page, we refresh again, you can see hats, shirts, hoodies, shoes. Perfect. So these are the order that we want them. Now we also want apparel to be first in our main navigation. So just like that, let's collapse this and click and drag apparel all the way up here. So now we have apparel first, and then furniture, and then electronics. Again, we don't have to do anything to save this. All we have to do is now refresh, and you can see that apparel is first on the list. So what are some other ways we can modify this? Well, if we click apparel, and then let's click hats again, you can see that we can add an image here. A good example of that would be in shirts. Notice how there's an image here added. If we go to the shirts page, let's click here, you can see we have this image. And this image is going to show up top here above our product description. So that image is just right here. Now let's click back into hats. What are some other things we can do here? Well, under display settings, you can say show products only, or static block only, or static blocks and products. There's going to be uses for these that we'll get into once we start talking about static blocks. However, we're going to leave this selected as products only for now. Also, there's this isAnchor. And isAnchor allows you to navigate and filter through products without having to click to a new page. Now, you wouldn't notice a difference on hats, but if we set apparel to be isAnchor, let's click this, and then you'll notice that apparel is already selected to be isAnchor. So let's go to the apparel page itself just by simply clicking on apparel up top here. And you'll notice instead of showing, just apparel, it's showing everything. And now it's showing all of our shopping options, which are our categories. And we can now filter through these, showing only our shirts. And instead of taking us to a new page, you can see it's actually just filtering the content. So that's isAnchor. However, for your landing categories, it might not be worth it to have isAnchor. Now, under custom design, you can specify a custom design if you'd like by selecting one of the designs that are available, and you can activate it from a certain time to a certain time. However, we're going to get more into that once we talk about changing page layouts into the customizing your store section, which is section 5 of this series. And under category products, it's going to show you what products are selected into this category. Notice how we don't have any for hats. That's obvious if you go to the hats page. However, if we go to shirts, you'll see there's lots of shirts here. 19 to be precise. So now if we browse to our shirts category, you might notice that our URL is /apparel then /shirts.html. Well, this is nice. However, let's say we wanted to modify this for some reason. Let's say if we didn't want the URL to be the exact same as our category title. Luckily for us, this is very easy. By default, when you create a category, you'll notice that down at the bottom here, this URL key, if it's not filled in, what happens is it gets automatically generated and essentially just takes the title and converts it to lowercase, removes spaces, and puts hyphens in there. So that's fine, but let's say we wanted this to be different for some reason. There's certainly no problem with modifying this URL. So if we come in here, we can do type all-shirts. And keep in mind, you're going to want this to be lowercase and no spaces, so we're using a hyphen here. Now if we save this category, you'll notice that our name stays the same. We refresh this page, it's actually going to update automatically to all shirts. And that's because Magento is actually creating a permanent redirect for the old URL. So we didn't have to do anything, and it automatically took us to all shirts. Under apparel, shirts, you can see that the link is in fact updated to be correct. That's /apparel/all shirts. So if you want to modify your URL, you can just do that right down here under URL key. So now you've modified your category, you've created your category. Now we're going to want to create our hats attribute set. And we're going to add attributes to that, and then we're going to get to create some products. So check out the next video where we talk about what an attribute and attribute sets actually are. So now that we've created our category, our next step is to create our attribute and our attribute set, and then we can go ahead and create our product. So the first thing you need to know about attributes and attribute sets is exactly what they are. To get an idea, let's go to our page, and let's just click on any given product. Feel free to click on whichever one you'd like. I'm going to click on this t-shirt right here. You can click on the same one if you'd like. And we have a quick overview, which is just a description of the product. We have its image, we have some star reviews, ratings, and then we have this section right down here where it allows you to choose a size. And this is an attribute of this product. Now, this is a little bit more complex of an example because by selecting different sizes, you're actually selecting different products. However, this is an attribute. It's just a selectable attribute for this particular example. Now, if we scroll down even further, you're going to see a just normal attribute, which would be this under additional information, what model this shirt is. The model is impatient. So you can use attributes as a way to classify your products. So you have maybe color. So you can see it's been tagged as green, but Maybe under additional information, one of these attributes is color, size. It could be cut, style. If you're talking about TVs or electronics, maybe you're having resolution, or just any sort of your qualities about these products. Now, what an attribute set is a group of attributes. In fact, you might think you create a whole bunch of attributes and you should just be able to select them all for each product. However, a TV has resolution and size and stuff like that, and a t-shirt has color and shape and cut and anything like that, but they might not ever cross paths. So you want to be able to say, these are t-shirts. They have size, they have color, they have cut, they have manufacturer. This is a computer screen. This has resolution, it has contrast, those kind of things. So that way when you're creating a product, you can say, I'm creating a computer screen. And that way the product automatically knows exactly which of these attributes to pull in. And once we get into configurable products and things like that, you're going to be able to create products like this, where you have a drop-down that changes exactly which product that we're doing based on an attribute itself. So attributes are really powerful and a great way to completely control your products and classify them in all sorts of ways. Let's go ahead and click on electronics and then click cell phones, and let's click a cell phone to get a good example of some more attributes. Now if we scroll down here, you'll notice there's no drop down or anything. This is just a simple product. Now we see the details and we see the additional information. And look, there's a lot more here. We actually have 3 different attributes here. Actually, we have 4. We have model, in-depth, which is a little bit more in-depth of a description, dimensions, and then activation information. And you'll notice these take different shapes and sizes. We have dimensions here, which is just a short text blurb. And then we have activation information, or in-depth, which are longer paragraphs. So once we get into creating attributes, you'll be able to see all the different types of attributes, whether it's numbers, or yes or no's, or just paragraphs. You'll get to see all of the different types of attributes. So in the next video, we're going to go into creating our attributes for our hats. And then we're going to create our attribute set for hats. And then we're going to create our product, which will be added to our category, which we created in the past couple of videos. So in this video, we're going to show you how to create an attribute. So the first thing we want to do is go to Catalog, and then Attributes, and then Manage Attributes. We'll go into creating an attribute set in the next video. So here, we can look at all of the different attributes that are already created. If you click this View drop-down, you can see all of them that exist. Right now that says there's a total of 67 records. So to see them all, we're going to set this to 100. And you'll see all these different attributes that already exist. So this is great because we might not have to recreate some of them, like color or manufacturer. Things like that are already going to be in the system if we installed the sample data. So let's come up to the top here and let's click this Add New Attribute button. We're going to be adding an attribute called hat style. And so this attribute code is for internal use, must be unique with no spaces. So we'll say hat underscore style. And you can really call this anything you'd like as long as it fits these rules. And then this is going to be global, so you can use this throughout the store. And we want this to be a drop-down. So that way that our users who are creating these products only have a select list of predefined styles to pick from. In this instance, you could also use a text field, which would just be using a unique value every single time, a text area, which might be used for some type of description or longer details that you need text. You could also have a date as an attribute, a yes, no, a drop-down, multiple select, price, media image, or fixed product text. So we're going to use a drop-down for this. And this is not a unique value. So that this says not shared with other products, as in only one product can have each value. This is not the case here. Is a value required? No, it's not required, but for the most part, I think we'd be adding it. This input validation for store owner is just sort of what type of validation you want to use. Let's say if you only want to accept numbers, decimal numbers, integers, emails, URLs, that type of thing. We do not have any sort of input validation on this, especially because it's a drop-down. And apply to all product types. Okay, And now it wants to ask if this can be used to create a configurable product, and we're going to say no, because you're really not going to have a hat that's in more than one style. Let's say a beanie and a baseball hat or something like that. You're not going to have the same hat ever as each one of those styles. So yes, we want this available in quick search. We want this available in advanced search. We want this comparable on the front end, sure. And used in layer navigation. No, I don't think we need this used in the layer navigation. But these options are really easy to change, so if you ever change your mind, you can always come back into your attribute and change them yourself. We're also not going to use it in the search results layer navigation. And used for promo rule conditions, at this moment we're not. However, you could have a sale that has, all of one type of hat that's for sale or something like that. And this is the position of the attribute. And we want this allow HTML tags on the front end. We want this visible on the view page on the front end. This doesn't need to be used in the product listing, so we're not going to worry about that. And we don't need to use it to sort the product listing. Now, the only thing we need is this manage label and options. So because this is a dropdown, we're able to add different options. For the title, we're just going to say hat style. And this is going to be the look of it on the front end of your site. We'll click add an option, and let's click add an option a couple more times, just because we want this. And we're going to use the names for our hat styles in here. So let's say this is a beanie, and then we can put this in. I don't know what a beanie is called in French or German, but we're just for the sake of this going to have it be called a beanie. And let's say a baseball hat. And this will be number 2. Keep in mind that our position starts at 0, and the lower the number, the higher up it is in your results. So you'll see this in action. Once these are in order, it's going to be beanie, baseball hat, and then we can have this last one be fedora. And these are the only types of hats that our store is going to launch with. However, you can see it's easy to add more. Let's click Save Attribute. Now, in our attribute, Manage Attributes listing here, we could search for hat, and we'll see that hat style is here, and it's ready to be used. So you've now just created your first attribute. If you want to see how any of the other attributes look, keep in mind you can always click on them and go through and see how they're set up. You can even look at their labels and modify them to your needs. In the next video, we're going to be showing you how to create an attribute set. So now that we've created our attribute, we're going to want to create our attribute set. And this attribute set is going to be for hats. So we had our hat style, and what other things might go into an attribute set for hats? You might have to think color, perhaps size, if that's something maybe. Let's actually go into creating an attribute set, and we'll see what attributes exist that could apply to hats. So let's go to Catalog, Attributes, and then Manage Attribute Sets. From here, we just need to click Add New Attribute Set. Its name will be Hats. And it's not going to be based on anything, so we're going to base it off of default. Let's click Save Attribute Set. Basing it off of another attribute set is a quick way to create multiple attribute sets that are very similar. They would have these same attributes when you start, however, then you could then modify it. That way, if you had products that were very similar, you could create an attribute set based off of another one without having to drag over all of the unassigned attributes that apply to both of them. So here, you'll notice something about this page. We have our Edit Attribute Set name. You can change the name if you like. We have our groups, and we have our unassigned attributes. So in our groups is where our attributes live, and you can click and drag, and you notice this is going to change the order. And this order is the order that's displayed on the product page when creating a product. Now, you can put your attributes in any of these categories. However, I'm going to click this Minimize on Prices, Meta Information, Images, Description, Design, and Reoccurring Profile and Gift Options, and just have General open, because I'm going to apply all of our attributes to the general area. Of course, you can create a new group if you'd like that was just attributes or something to put your attributes in. So we have general here. So the first attribute we would like to add would be hat style. So if we scroll down, it's at the very bottom here, we can just drop this in here. And notice this attribute set already has color and manufacturer. So what else could we possibly need? We might want to think about size. However, size isn't in here yet. There's something like shoe size. So we would have to create another attribute just for size itself, maybe a hat size. However, for this particular example, we'll just leave it off for now. So our hats can have a color and a style. Is there anything else here that would apply? It doesn't look like it. So we can click Save Attribute Set, and this is going to save this attribute set. Now, whenever we create a product of this attribute set, we'll see that drop down that allows you to select the hat style, as well as the color. So in the next section, we're going to go into creating products. And creating products will start to fill your store with your own custom products, and then you can get creating your own attribute sets, your own attributes, and you really get to see it in action as this hat section of our site gets populated with products. So now that we've created our attribute set and our attribute and our category, we can now create products to add to this category of our new attribute set. So what we need to do is in the back end of our site, we just have to go to Catalog, Manage Products. And from here, we can click on this Add New Product button. Now that we're in this Add New Product screen, we're going to select our attribute set. If you recall, we named our attribute set hats. So we'll select hats, and under product type, we're going to leave this as simple product. Now you'll notice there's group product, configurable product, virtual product, bundle, and downloadable product. And most of these function just like they sound. However, we'll be going over creating the various product types in the next few videos. So let's just select simple product and click continue. Now we have a name for our hat, and it wants a SKU, a weight, and a status. You'll notice all these things with the asterisk here in red are required fields. You'll also notice fields that we added, hat style, is showing up without a red asterisk because we did not tell it to be required. However, it is showing up. So let's create our first hat. This is just going to be a sports baseball hat. And its SKU, well, we don't have any real SKU for this, so I'm just going to enter a fake 5-digit number here. And its weight, this thing weighs about 1 pound because it's pretty light, and you'll notice the weight is in pounds because that's how the site is configured, and so all we have to do is type in a 1 here. If you want to get more precise with it, we could say 1.25 or something like that. However, just 1 for this product works. And for status, we're going to have this be enabled. For tax class, we're going to set this to be taxable goods. However, we're going to go over setting up tax classes and what they all mean in section 6. For now, just don't worry about it. Under visibility, we're going to have this be allowed to be in the catalog and in search. Its manufacturer, well, because we don't have any of these manufacturers for the hats added to our list yet, we're just going to have this be nothing. Notice it's not required. So for color, this will be a black hat, and its hat style will be a baseball hat. And we're not going to set this as a new product or anything yet, so everything on this page that's required seems to be good. Well, that's great. Let's click Prices next. You'll notice when I selected another tab here on the side, there's a little save icon next to General. This means that there has been information within this section that has been modified but hasn't been saved yet. So if we try to save this product right now, however, there's still plenty of fields that need to be filled in, so it's not going to let us. We might as well fill everything out first and then come back and modify it when we need to. So this hat's going to be $15, and we're going to keep this very basic right now. You can also enter the cost of this hat. This hat cost us $4, so it's going to be $4. This can keep track of profits for your site. Now, we don't have a special price for this or anything. However, if you did, you could set a special price from a certain date to a certain date using this calendar functionality. Other than that, we don't have a whole lot else we need to do here because we're just displaying the price. Now for meta information, we would want to have our meta title here. This would be baseball hat. And this is the information that's going to be appearing on the title of your site, which is what appears at the top of the tab here. And meta keywords and meta description will just add meta information to this page to let search engines know exactly what's on this page. However, a lot of search engines nowadays don't put a lot of weight in the meta description and meta keywords due to people using them and spamming them and being untruthful for what the content actually is. So don't put too much weight on them. However, having a meta title and description might be helpful. Now, images, let's add an image to this product. Now, since this isn't a real product, I don't have a real image. However, I did get a stock image of a baseball hat, so let me grab this from my desktop and throw it on here. Now, I've clicked Browse, I selected my file, and then clicked Upload. You notice that we now have this row added here to our images. If we roll over this rollover for a preview, we see this photo here. Now, we can give it a label if we'd like. We can also modify a sort order for it. Again, the lower value is going to appear higher at the top of the list. However, you'll notice by default that none of these things are checked here, these radio buttons. So we're going to want to click, we want to use this image for the thumbnail, the small image, and the base image. We'll show you exactly what those are when we're on the product page. However, you can upload several different images, maybe some that give a better viewpoint of it when it's smaller than when it's larger. And you can use them as different ones based on which of these radio buttons you check. And that's great. So let's go to description next. And this description is going to just be a paragraph about what your product actually is. It doesn't have to be a ton of information. However, it should be enough to let your customers have something to go off of when they're browsing through your site so they know what they're going to be purchasing. Now, keep in mind here, we also have access to this WYSIWYG editor. And this pops up all over the site anytime you are writing content. Sometimes the WYSIWYG editor is on by default, other times it's not. This is one of those cases that if you need the editor, you can click this button, and now you have an interface to type in that's more reminiscent of something like Microsoft Word, where you can type and you can style this text, you can make it bold, italic, underline, basically with tools that you're familiar with. So that way you can style this text directly in this editor as a content editor. And then once you click submit, it's going to paste the necessary HTML code here. Now, if you're familiar with HTML, you can also just type your own HTML directly in this description. Now, again, because this isn't a real product, I don't have an actual description, so I just have some dummy text to paste in here. And that's going to be enough to just get an idea. Now, let's go to design. We don't have to change anything on design here because we're going to be using the default theme. However, if you had a custom design, you could grab a custom design for this particular page and even set it to be active from a particular date to a particular date. You could also make layout changes with this page layout. However, we're not going to get into that just yet. Now, for the rest of these, we're just going to go in and fill in the required fields, and we'll go over some of these in more in depth later on. So we won't worry about recurring profile, gift options, because this is using a global configuration setting anyways. However, we will worry about inventory. So this site is set to manage stock. And here it's saying that we have 0 in stock and the stock availability is out of stock. So a lot of these checkboxes mean it's using the global config settings. So that means your entire site is using the same configuration. So if your entire site wasn't managing stock, you wouldn't have to worry about this and your products would always show up if they were set to stock availability in stock. However, if you want Magento to keep track of your inventory, you're going to want to have manage stock set to yes and quantity set to something that's higher than 0. Now, we can say we have 10 of these hats, and every single time we sell one, this number is going to get decreased by 1. So we want this to show up in the main website. So you could, if you had multiple stores running off of one website, you could limit it to what store or what website it's going in. Now, in categories, this is where it's going to appear. We want it to appear in apparel, but we also want it to appear in hats. Notice how hats has nothing in it, so it's going to be the only product in there. So we're going to have 67 products in apparel and now 1 product in hats. If we didn't have this checked, then it would only appear in hats and wouldn't appear in the root category apparel. So you're going to want to make sure both of these are checked. Now, again, we're not going to click any related products, upsells, or cross-sells for now. We're going to leave that for a later one. we're going to leave that for a later video. And custom options, we're going to be going over later this section as well. Let's just click Save, and we can see our product live on our website. This product has been saved. So let's come to the home page, and let's go to Apparel, Hats. And you'll notice that the product isn't showing up. Well, why is that? Well, if you remember, when we were in inventory, sure, we said to manage stock, and we set the stock to over 10, or we set it to 10. We didn't actually check the box that said in stock. So let's come back to our page, and under inventory, at the very bottom, stock availability, we're going to want to make sure it's set to in stock. Now if we save this, again, now we refresh our page, we should see our hat. And you notice it generates this entire grid as well as our hat. If we click on it, we have our description, we have an image that allows you to zoom, pan around, and if you scroll down, we see our details, we see our hat style, and we can even start tagging this product. So, congratulations, you've created your first product in Magento, and now we can get on creating more complex products. If your product still isn't showing up, feel free to check out the last video in this section, which is troubleshooting, what to do when your product doesn't show up. We'll go over all the common missteps that cause products not to show up. In the next video, we're going to show you to create custom product options to add selection and options to these products. So now that we've created our product, we're going to want to try adding custom options to this product. And there's all sorts of types of custom options you can do. So let's go to our Manage Products screen, and we can just click on Sports Baseball Hat right here. Notice how you don't even have to click Edit. You can just click on it, and it'll take you to the Edit screen. Now, once we're in here, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we'll see a Custom Options. And so if we click Custom Options, you'll notice nothing shows up. That's because we don't have any custom options currently. To add a new custom option, we just have to click Add New Option in the upper right-hand corner. Now, you'll see that this custom option shows up here. Well, what exactly does this mean? Well, custom options come in all sorts of various types, but really a custom option just allows your customer to select an option for their product. And this option can even change the price of your product. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Input Type, and we're going to look for one, and we have field area. So this would be a text field or area. Maybe if you want a special note embroidered on your product or something like that, you could have a text field or area. A file would be to have them upload a file for your product. A drop-down would be a drop-down select or radio buttons. A checkbox or multiple select to allow your customers to select options. Or they could even be a date or a date and time. Maybe they're purchasing some sort of schedule or something. However, for this particular option, we're going to go to drop-down. And what we're going to have them do is allow them to be able to add a signature of 3 separate sports players. And this is just going to be nondescript, just sports. So we're going to click drop-down. And you notice we now have some more options. Under title here, we're just going to call this signature. And if we had more than one custom option, this is where sort order would come into play. However, we're just going to have this set to 0 because we don't have anything else. And we're going to say this is not required because we don't want to have our customers select a signature. It's only if they want the signature. So let's click Add a New Row. And we're going to have this be Player 1. And this is going to be the SKU of Player 1 signature. In fact, it's just going to be the same hat, and then I'm going to do -1. And this can be whatever your product SKU system is. And if you don't already have SKUs set up, then you can make one and use it within this system. However, you can add this yourself based on whatever you're using as your system. For price, this is going to be the price that's added to the base price. So our hat that was $15 is going to be $15 for a non-signature. However, Player 1 is sort of new. He's not a superstar or anything. So his signature is only going to be worth $20 extra. And we're going to have the signature. He'll be the first option here. So sort order 0. As you remember, the sort order, every time we use it, the lowest number means highest up at the list. You can think of it as the higher numbers as being weightier and want to fall to the bottom of the list. So we're going to click Add New Row. And now we can add another player. We'll add player 2. And this player brings a little bit more, so his signature will be worth $40. And again, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then -2, because this is player number 2, and sort order will be 1. Notice how you can also have this be a percentage. Maybe this selection option is actually a percentage of the original price. This is just going to add $40 to the original price. So for our last one, we're going to click Add New Row, type player number 3, and player number 3 brings in a lot of money, so his is going to be a $200 price bump to this hat. This is a big-time sports player who's going to be bringing in some money. So we have 0, 1, and 2, and now let's click Save. Okay, so now let's go back to our baseball hat and see what's changed. Okay, you'll notice if we scroll down, you'll see there's an option before our Add to Cart button, and this is this signature dropdown. It says please select. However, notice we can add this product to our cart and not have any selection at all. That's because we had it to be non-required. So let's come back to our hat, and let's click on this dropdown again, and you'll notice it's saying player 1 plus 20, player 2 plus 40, player 3 plus 200. If we click this, not only does the price update here, but we also see this option being selected right here, and we can click to add the cart. And you'll now see that in our cart, we have the signature for player number 3 and the price that's been updated to reflect the amount that his signature is worth. So now when this order goes through, when it comes in, we're going to see that this hat needs to be the signature for player number 3, and this hat is just without the signature entirely. So that's how you can create custom product options for your products. And if you recall back to the editing a product screen, there's a whole bunch of different types. So it's not just select lists. You also have radio buttons, checkboxes, multiple selects. So feel free to play around with them and see what kind of great things you can do and which way it makes the most sense for your product. So in the last video, we created these great custom options to allow a signature to be added to this product. You may have noticed that the price changed, had its own option, and it even had its own SKU. However, these aren't necessarily their own products. This is all just, in fact, one product with a variation. Now, in some systems, you might have multiple products that are all going to be wrapped into one product. And the way that might work is if you have a t-shirt that's in red and green, they're actually going to be two separate products. And these are going to be done through configurable products. So this is a quick way to create a whole bunch of products from one, and when you select the other configurable product, the image is actually going to update and everything. So it's actually going to be simple products embedded within a configurable product. So to get started, we're going to create a new product. So let's go to Manage Products, and we'll click Add a New Product. And once again, we're going to select Hats as our attribute set, and we're going to select Configurable Product as our product type, and click Continue. Now it's asking us which attribute we want to use to make it configurable. Well, this is the attribute that's going to be different amongst these products so that your user is going to be able to select. Well, we're going to use color. And these two attributes show up here because in their attribute settings, there's selected to use in configurable product. So if your attribute is not showing up here, make sure use in configurable product is checked within your particular attribute. Let's click Continue and let's get creating our attribute. So this is going to be just a winter hat, and it's going to have a very similar SKU just because I'm making these up. Status will be enabled. Tax class again will be taxable goods. Visibility will be catalog and search. And the hat style is going to be a beanie, and we don't have to do anything other than that. Notice how we're not selecting color yet. Now under price, we're just going to select this again to be $15, nothing crazy here, and we don't have to modify anything else. And I'm not going to bother with meta information for this. And we're going to browse, and we're going to upload a photo of this hat, and it's just going to be this green hat. Now, you'll notice in a little bit that this is just for the default image. If I change this and add this all here, later when we add images to the individual products, those are going to be the ones actually showing up. So next, description, we'll just say winter hat. And then again, winter hat. I could put a lot more in here like we did for the last video, but I don't actually have any content for this. Now, design, we're not going to modify the design, gift options. However, for inventory, you'll notice this looks a little bit different. We now just have the options of whether this will manage stock and whether it's in stock or out of stock. So we're going to select this to be in stock, and you'll notice when we're adding our simple products later, that is when you get to add your actual inventory. But for the configurable product as a whole, there is no inventory, just the individual simple products associated with it. So, websites, this is going to be on the main store. Categories will be under apparel and hats once more. And then we're not going to have any related products. However, you'll notice there is another tab down here, and that's associated products. If we click on this, it shows us all of the hats that already exist in our store. Since we just have one, it only shows us one. If your simple products do not already exist, Magento gives you a great way of creating them from the screen. So let's go ahead and save this product right now, and we'll come back and add our configurable edits. So now that the product is saved, you can see this tool exists right here under the associated products page. That's the quick simple product creation, and it's saying the name is going to be winter hat, the SKU is going to be the same, and the weight is going to be variable just in case your t-shirt size is different or something like that, but we're just going to have a 1 for this. Status will be enabled, visibility will be catalog and search, and color is going to be green. And so this green hat is not going to be any different in price, so we don't have to add a price here. Now quantity, we're just going to put 10 here, and it's going to be set to in stock. Now we're just going to click Quick Create, and it creates our simple product for us. Now if we scroll down here, you can see that we have winter green hat is checked. That means that it's associated with this. If we were to uncheck this, this product would no longer be associated. However, if you go into our system, you would see that winter green hat with the SKU of our SKU-green exists as a simple product and can be edited individually from this configurable product. So now let's create one more, and it's going to be same as winter hat, it's just going to be color red. And we're going to have everything else be the same, Quick Create, and there's our two products. So let's see what happens on our product page. If we go back to hats, you'll see our new green winter hat. So let's click this green hat. It's $15, and now we have options. Notice how they're required. That's because you can't purchase a hat. That's because you can't purchase one of these hats without first selecting if it's green or red. So let's select an option. Let's select green. Notice how nothing changes. This is using our base image, and it is our base price, and everything's the same. However, it's selecting the green hat. Now if we select red, it's using our red hat. Let's add this to the cart. Great, so we have our winter hat, color red. Well, what happens if your customers want to see this red hat? Well, let's click back to our winter hat here. And what if they want to see what this hat looks like in red? Well, if we come back to our product, this is on the configurable product, under images, we can click Browse and upload a red image. Uploading this, I don't have to select this to be any of the thumbnail, base, or store views. All I have to do is click Save and Continue. Now, when we refresh our page, you see the option for the red hat. If we click it, it's going to open up in this window. And now your customers have the ability to view the red hat as well. So this is how you create configurable products. You can create a configurable product on any attribute that's set to be able to create a configurable product out of. In the next video, we're going to show you how to create grouped products, which allow you to add multiple individual simple products to your cart from one product's page. So in the last video, we showed you how to create configurable products that allow you to use a drop-down to pick one option or another based on attributes. So what if instead of creating a product that allows you to select an option, you actually want a product that displays other simple products on the page? So in this particular case, we wouldn't have a drop-down that says choose an option red or green, but it would more say winter hat thick, winter hat thin, that sort of thing, with allowing you to purchase one, more, or both of those hats. So let's get started by creating a new grouped product by clicking Add New Product in our Manage Product screen. Now we're going to select hats again from our attribute set, and we're going to click Grouped Product for product type. And we're going to name this Winter Hats 2. So again, I'm going to put in a fig SKU, status as enabled, set to catalog and search, and our hat style again is going to be a beanie. For our prices, you'll notice we don't have these set. This is because it uses the price of the individual simple product. So let's go to meta information. We don't need to add anything there. And let me just upload an image of one of our hats just so we have it. Make sure to click these radios as always, or else the image won't show up. Winter hat, winter hat. And now we don't need a custom design, gift options, and for inventory, we just need to make sure it's in stock. Now for websites, main website, categories, we want an apparel, and hats, and now we're going to go down to associated products again. Well, we don't have many products created in hats, so to show you as an example, we're just going to select all three of these, winter hat green, winter hat red, and sports baseball hat. Even though the sports baseball hat isn't necessarily a winter hat or anything, it's still a simple product, and we'll show you how grouped products can really just contain simple products. So let's click Save, and we now have created a grouped product. And now let's click back to our site, let's go to Hats, and we should see our new product show up. Now we have Winter Hats 2 right here, and if we see here, we can now add a sports baseball hat, winter hat green, or winter hat red, all from this product, just by adding amount to this quantity. Let's add all these to our cart, and here they are. They're all added to our cart. So this is how you create a grouped product. And you can create grouped products to group all sorts of products together. Maybe the most common example would be a Buy This Outfit page, where you have a clothing website that has all these different, a t-shirt, pants, and shoes that's already a pre-made outfit, and then you could have all of those components on the one page. So this is how you create a grouped product. In the next video, we're going to be showing you how to create a virtual product. In this video, we're going to create a virtual product. Now, a virtual product might not be the easiest to understand, however, it is the easiest to create. Because what there is with the virtual product is there isn't actually a physical or digital entity tied to this product. Virtual products can be used for things like warranties or subscriptions or something like that. You could have a virtual product for a newsletter subscription. Although Magento doesn't actually offer out of the box any sort of way to tap into the newsletter system built into Magento, you could always sell a newsletter subscription and then add that person yourself. So let's get started. We're going to go to Manage Products as always, and then click Add New Product. For this, we're just going to use the attribute set of default, because this attribute is not going to be a hat. You couldn't really have a virtual hat. So let's click Virtual Product and click Continue. Now for our name, this is just going to be warranty, because that's all it is. We're going to have this just be a product warranty. And SKU is going to be 444, and the status is going to be enabled, and tax, we'll set this to none. Visibility will be catalog and search. For the price, this is going to be a $5 warranty. And we're going to not have to add anything other than that. So meta information, we could always add that for our production, but right now we don't need it. And now I don't have an image for this because there really isn't anything. I suppose you could have some sort of official looking warranty image that you have up here, and that should be no problem. However, for this particular example, it's not necessary. Now, description, I would want description text here as usual, but I'm just going to place warranty in here to have something. Design, we don't need a custom design. There's no reoccurring profile. We don't need gift options. And for inventory, we're actually going to do this a bit differently. For inventory, because we're not going to run out of these warranties, I'm going to uncheck this use config settings under manage stock and set this to no. Now what this does is now it doesn't keep track of in stock or out of stock. Basically this product just is. So because we're not managing stock, we never have to worry about setting this in stock or out of stock. Now websites, let's click main store. Categories, well, this is going to be a hat warranty, so we'll put this under hats, which is kind of funny, but there's no other better examples at the moment. Now, we don't need to put anything else because there's no related products, cross-sells, upsells, or custom options, so let's just click save. Now, our product should show up on the product page. So if we go back to apparel, hats, we should see our warranty. Here it is for $5. We can now add our warranty. And when your customer buys this warranty, it's not going to get them anything. However, it will be attached to their account. So you as the store owner or them as the purchaser can see that they've purchased this warranty, and it will be on file if they ever need to use it. So that's how you create a virtual product. In the next video, we're going to show you to create bundled products. So in this video, we're going to examine the bundled product, and we're not going to create one from scratch. However, we will go over exactly what's going on in these bundled products to the point where you're going to know how to create one. The reason we're not going to create one is that there's just too many individual simple products you have to create to get the full experience. So it makes more sense to just examine the bundled product that's already created within the sample data. So if we go to electronics and then computers, you'll see this computer is the first option here, and if we click it, we can scroll down and it says to make a computer. So this is a bundled product. You'll notice that there's options here like we've seen before that adjust the price whenever I click on them. However, these aren't just options. Everything in here is a simple product. So this cruiser case is a simple product. This mid-tower case is a simple product. This processor, everything individually is a simple product with its own stock and its own price. So, as you can see this is working, it's pretty great because you have all of these options and you can add all these products to one single product. And then when you add it to the cart, it doesn't add every single component. However, it does show the components under your bundled product. So let's check out computer in the back end. If we go to manage products, and we search for computer, you can see it here and click on it. Now here you're going to notice some things are different. Our SKU is actually going to be selected to be dynamic. It's going to use the first part computer, but then it's going to add on the other parts based on what products we're adding, along with the weight. The weight is also set to be dynamic. And this is helpful because some components are going to weigh more than others and some components are going to weigh less. This way, your shipping can be completely accurate. Now, if we go to prices, price is also set to dynamic. This is because the components themselves make up the cost of this product. So let's go to meta information. Okay, images. You can see we have our image here. Description is just make a computer from what we saw. And we don't need to go over any of these other ones except for maybe inventory. Now, you'll notice that inventory is set to manage stock and stock availability is in stock. But just like a configurable product, the product's stock availability is based off of the availability of the simple products associated with this. So how do we add simple products to a bundled product here? Well, you may think to go to custom options. You'll notice that you cannot add custom options with a bundled product. Well, at least not with dynamic pricing. So it's actually under bundled items. So this is a screen that's unique to bundled products. Here, instead of setting options like we had with the custom product options, or just adding products with the configurable products or the grouped products, we're actually having a combination of those two things. So to prove our point here, let's actually make it so hats are a part of this computer. For some reason, a hat is a component of this computer, and we wanted to add those hats to this computer. We would click Add New Option, and again, we just need to give it a title, just like we had with our custom options. And we want it to be radio buttons, and sure, it's required. You need to pick a hat. It's going to be first in position, and let's add a selection. From here, it's going to allow you to search for products. If I type in hat and search, we'll see our hats. I'm going to select on these checked boxes, and then now you have to hit Add Selected Products to Option. Now that that's added, you'll see that both of these products have been added. We can even select a default if you'd like. Going down, you can see a lot of the same. In fact, there's even this user-defined quantity. If you want users to be able to add multiple hats to this computer, then you can leave this as yes. You'll see that you can only add one case per this order, so user-defined quantity is set to no. As well with processor, you're only going to want to add one processor, so they don't want you to change the quantity. If we keep scrolling down, you'll see that you can, however, add additional hard drives. So look at all of these products that are associated. This is why a bundled product takes a long time to create, because you have all these individual associated products. However, it's extremely powerful. Great. So this is looking awesome. This is looking just how we want it. Let's save this product. And now when we come back to our computer and refresh, we'll see that we now have an option to add a winter green hat or a winter red hat to our computer. Perfect. Even though we don't need a hat with a computer, it just shows that it's really easy to add your simple products regardless of the type to create a bundled product. In the next video, we're going to be showing you downloadable products. Now, in this video, we're going to create downloadable products. And this downloadable product can be anything from audio files to PDFs, basically anything that your customers are going to want to pay to download. So let's get into it. First, we're going to go to Manage Products, and then we're going to click Add New Product. We're going to leave the attribute set as default, and then we're going to select Downloadable Product. I'm going to click Continue, and the name is going to be Serial Number. And this is maybe a serial number to an application to unlock it or something. This isn't anything automatically generated, however it is just a text document with some text. So I'm going to set this to be status enabled, then no tags, and that looks good for the general information. For price, this license is going to cost $5, nothing fancy here. And then now, again, I don't really have an image for this considering it's a downloadable product. However, you very well may have images for your downloadable products. And maybe if it's an album of songs, you would have the album cover or something like that. Now, the next important one is inventory. Because this is downloadable, I'm going to uncheck this Use Config Settings and say No to Manage Stock. However, you're more than welcome to have the system manage stock on virtual items if you only want a limited number of them to be sold. Now, we want it to show up in the main store, and just for consistency's sake, we'll say it's showing up in hats, only because we don't have a fitting category and it's not worth creating one at this point. However, in your own site, you of course would create a category for whatever downloadable type of product this is. Now, the next thing we need to go to is downloadable information here at the bottom. Here you can see that we have links or samples. But I'm going to change this title from links to serial. And this is going to just be the one text document. However, if you had multiple songs or anything like that in an album, you of course could upload each as an individual row. So I'm going to click Add New Row. And you'll notice that the select list allows you to say whether or not the links individually can be purchased separately. Well, in this case, we're only going to have one. But if you wanted to have multiple files, sure, you might want to have them be able to be purchased individually. So the title is just going to be Serial Number. And in here, we're not going to have a specific price for this. And we're going to say you can download this as much as you want. This is an unlimited amount of downloads. However, if you're concerned about that, you can always say you can only download this product 5 times, 10 times, whatever that number is. And you can say whether this link is shareable with other people that might want to download this. This could protect you again from people sharing the link who haven't purchased it. So we're going to click no. And then for sample, I've actually created a sample of this text document. And I'm going to just add this here. Now I'm going to click this orange button under File. And this is going to be the actual file that they're going to be purchasing. So I'm going to click serial.txt. And now I can click Upload Files, and the files are uploaded. Since these are small files, it only took a second. However, if you have audio files, it may take a minute or two. So we should have our files all set. And now if we click Save, we can browse to our product on the front end. Now, if we go to our product, we had it under Hats. We scroll to the bottom, we see serial number here. So now we can see that because we've allowed the customers to purchase these products individually, they can check this to say if they want this serial or not. However, the problem here with the way we set this up was that we had the price at $5, and then we had them ability to check or uncheck which products they want. And this serial number has no cost to it. So if somebody tried to purchase this product and didn't have the serial number selected, they would essentially be paying $5 for nothing. So if we come back to our product here, we want to set the price at the serial number to be $5, and we can set this price to be $0. Now if we save this, refresh our product, now when we select this, it's actually going to add the $5, and you can see that they're purchasing the serial number. Now, if we want to see the sample, all you have to do is click the sample. And you can see this is a doc downloaded from Magento. And so this is the sample text file that I created that goes along with this product. However, your samples can be anything from short snippets of songs to one page of a PDF, basically anything that you want that could represent the thing that they're purchasing. So that's great. It looks like we have our digital download all ready to go. So now that we've created all of our types of products, the next step is troubleshooting. In the next video, we're going to go over what to do when you don't see your product showing up. So in this last video, we're going to examine the things that would cause your product not to show up on the front of your store. Now, there are a couple of things, and if any one of these items is set up incorrectly, your product just won't show up. And that can be really frustrating. However, as long as you have this checklist to go through, you'll know that your products are going to show up. So the first thing we need to look at is in general information. Now, I've opened up our sports baseball hat that we've already created, and the first thing we're going to look at here is status. Now, if you've forgotten to have this set as enabled, your product will not show up. So if it says disabled, you won't have it on the front end, and you won't necessarily have a way of knowing why it's not there. So you're going to make sure this product is enabled. You're also going to want to make sure it's visible for the catalog, at least the catalog. You might not need it available for search. However, if it's available for catalog, it's going to show up on your catalog page. The next item that we're going to look at is inventory. Now, the first thing you're going to check is that if managed stock is set to yes, that you have a quantity in here. The next thing you're going to want to check is that quantity for item status to become out of stock. Using our global config, that's set to 0. However, if this was set to 10, our product would be shown as out of stock. That way you can have your products set up to be out of stock and have still a buffer of a couple of products in case you have some in the physical store that you need to sell. Now, you're also going to make sure that this is set to in stock. If this is set to out of stock, customers will not be able to purchase your product. Next, we need to go to websites. This needs to be checked for your main store or whichever store you're going to be selling this product in. Alright, well the last item is categories. You're going to make sure that this product is set to be in a category. So, we have this in apparel and in hats. Now if we go to apparel, we're going to see our products. And if we go to hats, we'll see our products there as well. However, without these being checked, these products won't just know where to go. So you need to assign them to a category or else they won't show up. So as long as your product is enabled, it's in stock, it's in a website, and it's in a category, your product should show up on your website. In this section, we're going to go over customizing your store. And this is going to include adding CMS pages, creating static blocks, using widgets, adding polls, changing page layouts, and modifying store emails. So, to get started, in this first video, we're going to go over how you create a CMS page. So, the first thing that we should do is look at a CMS page. So if we go in our backend to CMS, and then Pages, we can see the pages that are already created. Let's look at one of these pages that we already have. Let's check out Privacy Policy. So, from the home page, the Privacy Policy link is in the bottom. If we just click Privacy Policy, you can see that this is what the page looks like. And it's really just a blank page with some text on it here and a table, and that's pretty much it. Well, it's really easy to create these pages. If we go to Manage Content, you'll see that Privacy Policy has a one-column layout for all store views, and it's enabled. Well, great, let's click this, and we can see pretty much inside of it is just what we would expect. Under Content, here's the same content that we just saw. So, let's get started by creating our own. Let's go back to CMS Pages, and let's click Add a New Page. So this page that we're going to be making is just going to be called Hat Information. Because everything's about hats right now, we're just going to want to keep this as, stick with the theme here, and we're going to just have this be information about the sizing of our hats, all that different sort of stuff. That way on hat products, we can link to this page and say, if you need any idea about what sort of hat sizing you need, come check out the Hat Information page. So the URL key is going to be what you want in the URL. Usually in URLs they use hyphens and lowercase, so no spaces, no uppercase, so we can just type hat-information. And then now we're going to say this is on all store views, and it's enabled. Now for our content, I don't have any content made for this, so we're just going to paste some text. And this would be some information about hat sizing, but you'll notice that there's this helpful WYSIWYG editor here. And this shows up in a lot of Magento. You may have seen it already before. So if I delete some stuff here, maybe make this into a new line, I can select this text and change it from a paragraph 1 to a heading. And let's see, maybe I can make some of it into a link. I'll highlight some of this stuff right here. And by clicking this link button, I can make it a link. Now, of course, I'm just going to put a £sign here. I don't have an actual link. And maybe we want to highlight some stuff with a new color. We can highlight some text here, make it bold. So this is just like if you're used to using Microsoft Word or anything like that. This is just an interface for you to change your text. Also, in the WYSIWYG editor, we can insert Magento variables. In the tools right here, we have this V surrounded by brackets. If you click that, we can see what sort of Magento variables we have available for us. We could insert our store name, our contact email, our store phone number, our store address. So if we just click this store name, you'll see this brackets and it'll say config path general store information name. Now when we save our template, we will see our store name within this template. Now, since I don't want the store name here in this particular instance, I'm just going to get rid of this. However, feel free to click the variables and look around and see exactly which different variables you have access to if in case you need to use these. That way, you don't have to type this information. And if your phone number changes, you only have to change it in one place in the configuration of your store. And then that's going to update it throughout your site. Great. So next, we're going to go to Design. And we want this to be a one-column page. Notice you have 2 columns with a left bar, 2 columns with a right bar, and 3 columns. We'll go over changing layouts in a little bit later of this section. So we're going to leave this as 1 column, and we're not going to have this be a custom design. For metadata, I'm actually just going to paste the same text in here. However, if you're using actual metadata for this page, such as keywords and description, you're going to want to have that. Let's click Save Page. And now we can visit this page by just going to /hat-information. Now you can see we have our headline, we have our bold text, just like we typed it, and our link and everything. So now you just created a CMS page. So you can link to this from many places onto your store as long as you have this URL, which you created when you created the content. In the next video, we're going to go over static blocks and what static blocks are and how you can modify and create them. In this video, we're going to show you how to create static blocks and what static blocks even are. So at first, let's go to CMS static blocks. Now let's see, we have footer links, cell phone landing, and electronics landing. Now, these are all pretty different, so this might explain the concept of what static blocks are. If you click on footer links, you can see it's just a list of About Us, Customer Service, and Privacy Policy. We saw this static block in the last video when we were looking down here in the footer. We had About Us, Customer Service, and Privacy Policy. This group of 3 links right here is a static block. Now, if we go to the electronics page, we'll also see this image right here. If we go to our CMS section in the back end under static blocks and we click on electronics landing, you'll see that we have these images. Well, these images are these images right here. In fact, static blocks are just blocks of content that can be placed on the page. And now static blocks can be placed at the tops of categories like these static blocks, or they can be placed in the footer like these static blocks. And you can even place static blocks using widgets, which we'll go over in the next video. Right now, we just need to know how to create a static block. First, let's just edit the footer links block and add our hat information to this list. Now, I can just type in hat information, select it, and add a link. And this will just be to hat-information. And now if we save this block, come back to our page, we refresh. If we scroll down to the bottom, we now see that hat information is here. Well, we can see that it's missing the pipe in between it. Let's investigate why that would be. If we come to our static blocks and go to footer links again, it looks just fine here, so those pipes must be being created with CSS. If we click the Show Hide Editor, we can see that this list item was given a class of last and privacy, as well as this hat information. Well, if we remove this class of last, our pipe should come back. So let's click Save Block. Now if we refresh, perfect. We have added a link down here and we've edited a block. Well, let's create a block. Come back to static blocks, all we have to do is click Add New Block. And of course, just like our static page, we could add anything in here. So let's just paste in some body text like we had before. I'm actually going to make a heading. It's going to be important hat info. And this is just going to be a header 2 right here. And this will be great. It's going to be for all store views. It's hat info block is the name. And this again is going to be in all lowercase with hyphens. So this identifier is going to be used anytime that you want to reference this block. And the reason why it's in all one word, so you're using only lowercase and you're using either hyphens or underscore, it's just so this is a unique identifier for this block. If you had something like the title to identify the block, it might not be as easy because with the variation in capital, lowercase, and spaces. So the identifier needs to be here, so it's something that you can refer to this block as. So it's hat info block and then hat info block. It's enabled, and here's our block. Let's click Save Block. Now we can get this to display on our hat category page. So if we go to Catalog, Manage Categories, if we find our hats category, click Hats, we can go to Display Settings, and under here it says Display Mode, Products Only. If we select Static Block and Products, and then select our static block, which is the hat info block, save our category. Now, if we go to the hats page under Apparel, you'll see our important hat info block is showing up In this video, we're going to talk about widgets. And widgets are a way to allow you to add dynamic content to the front of your website without having any programming experience. So you don't have to get into the code or anything, but it allows you to place things anywhere you'd like on the page with also some dynamic elements to it. So we can do things like show CMS blocks, or we can have links or recently viewed products and things like that. So before we get started, I wanted to really quickly just have our theme be set as our default theme. So if we come to design under configuration, I just changed my current package as default, templates are default, skin and layout are all default. And this will just make it easier on us so everybody's using the default theme. So now let's get started by going to CMS and then widgets, and we're going to add a new widget instance. And this is going to be a static block. For instance, we want this hat information, this important hat information, to be on every single hat page, the product page, when they're going to sell the hats, so people read this information before they purchase their hat. So we're going to select CMS static block, and our theme is default is the theme we're using. And we can click continue. Now our widget instance title will be hat info, and we'll have this available in all store views and a sort order of 0. Now, down here is the important part. This is layout updates. If we click this add layout update, this is where we select what pages we want this to show up on. So if we can click all product types, that'd be great. So let's go to all product types, and now we can have it be specific products or all products. So let's click specific products. And now it gives me the option of adding this block to just our hats. So let's type hat. And now we can just come here and check this checkbox, and it's going to add this to all of our hat pages. Now, this block reference is where we want the widget to show up. We want this to show up in the product view extra hint. Notice how you have options for the page top, page header, info column options wrapper, bottom block options wrapper, and this will change based on what type of page you're telling it to show up on. However, for this particular product page, we have these options. So let's click Product View Extra Hint. And now the last thing we need to do is tell our widget which block to use. So let's scroll up here and click Widget Options. Now let's select a block. Now we wanted our hat info block, and it's easy as that. Let's click Save. And the last thing we have to do is clear our cache. So let's click this cache management link here, and let's just flush Magento cache. And now let's browse to a hat on our store. Let's go to Hats, and let's just click on a particular hat. And now you'll notice that right after the price here, injected into the page is our important hat info. So this is how I used a widget to add this content to my page. Let's try something else. Let's come back to CMS widgets, and let's add another one. And let's say we wanted a CMS page link into the footer. Let's click in default again. Let's say footer link. And this is going to be in all store views. And it's going to have a sort order of 0. Now for layout updates, we can say display on all pages. This is going to have it display on all pages. We can have it also display in the page footer and the CMS page link block template or inline template. We're going to select block template. Now under widget options, we can add custom anchor text. So we can say portent info, and this is going to take them to the hat info page. So let's check this and let's select this. And now from our static page list, we can select the hat information page and click save. Now let's refresh our page. And if we scroll to the bottom, you'll notice it's not showing up. Well, we left out one step that we did the first time. Remember, we had to clear the cache. So let's come back here and clear this cache. Let's click Flush Magento Cache. Now that that's gone, we can refresh the page, and we'll see our important info link. We click on this, and it programmatically takes us to this page. Now, even if this URL changes at some point, this link will still always take us to this page. Not to mention, we were able to have this link and change the anchor title directly from the widget itself. So this is just scratching the surface of what widgets can do, but feel free to play around with them. Just make sure you have the correct theme selected for which theme you're going to have this display on, or else your widget won't display. So in this video, we're going to talk about adding a poll. And if you scroll down, you'll notice that your site already has a poll. And this is what is your favorite Magento feature. And you could click on one of these options and vote in this poll. And there you can see the results. It looks like most people say layered navigation. So this is the community poll, and you can create your own and it would go in this poll space. So let's see how that works. If we come to CMS polls, you'll notice that there's two polls already, one of which is closed and one is open. The open poll is the one that we're seeing right now. If we click on this, we can set this one to closed, and let's save our poll. Now let's add a new poll. And we're going to say, what's your favorite product? And this will be on open, it'll be on all the stores. And now we just click over here for poll answers and we can add our new answers. So answer title, we can say hats. Of course, that's our favorite one because that's what we're creating in this video. We can say t-shirts, and we could add another answer and it could be computers. And looks like I accidentally changed this vote count to 1. We're going to leave it like that. And now we have these 3 answers here, and let's click Save Poll. So now we have 1 open poll, 2 closed ones. If I refresh this, we'll see our new poll here. And now I can vote, and it keeps track of that there. 1 vote is worth 100% of the votes at this point. So what about if you want more control over your poll? Well, we can go to System Configuration. In System Configuration, if we go to Web here, we'll see the options for polls. If we click Polls, you can see there's just one option. And this allows you to change whether or not voting from the same IP is allowed. So this is saying to disallow voting in a poll multiple times from the same IP. No. So right now your users could come and vote as many times as they would like, each individual user. If you don't want that sort of thing to happen, each user only gets to vote once, you'll select this to yes. So this is creating a poll in Magento. If we come back to CMS polls, and we turn on another one of our polls, we can see what will happen. Now save this. Let's come to our home page. We refresh. Here's our what's your favorite feature. Refresh again. And here's our favorite product. So when you have multiple polls enabled, they appear randomly for your users so that you can get all sorts of different feedback at once. In this video, we're going to go over how you can change your page layout. And you can change the page layouts of CMS pages or catalog pages, and you can use whatever layouts your theme has provided. So let's go to our head information page. This was a CMS page that we created. And when we created it, we selected the 1-column layout. Notice how everything is in 1 column. Let's go to CMS, Pages, and then we can look at our head information page. From here, we can go to Design, and select a different layout. Notice how our options are 2 columns with the left bar, 2 columns with the right bar, and 3 columns. Let's go straight to 3 columns to see what that will look like. Save and continue. Now let's refresh this page. There, we have our 3 columns come in. Next, we could also change this to 2 columns with the left bar. Save and continue. Refresh once more, and see how it looks different. So you'll now notice that this page has 2 columns, one with the left, and our main content. Let's go to one of our category pages, for instance, hats, and we can see how we can modify this page from Catalog, Manage Categories, and then Hats. Now once we see hats loaded up here, we can go to Custom Design. Under the Custom Design tab, you can see that we have it set to 3 columns right now. If we change this category to 2 columns to the left bar, we can save category, and our right bar goes away. Great. So this shows you how you can have complete control over your page layouts. Keep in mind, this only works with whatever layouts your theme is provided. So if you have a custom theme it will have whatever layouts your custom theme has created. In most instances, you're going to have the 3 column options as you do in the base theme. In this video, we're going to go over the process of modifying store sent emails. And now when you sign up for an account or you place an order, the store is going to send you an email saying that either your order is placed, your account was created, something like that. There's a ton of these emails that get created, and you can customize every single one of them if you would like to. So we're going to get going on an example about how to customize an email store template. So on our back end, let's go to System, and then it's under Transactional Emails. If we click this, you'll notice there's no records found. That's because the site's using all of the default templates. Now, if we want to create our own template, we can do that simply by adding Add a New Template. Now, what we want to do is select the template from this list that we want to use. So if we want to say, let's see, a new order template, we click Load Template. It not only fills in all of the information, but it also gives us a subject and it throws in variables. So these variables are actually pulling information in from the order, such as the store URL, the logo. Down here, it's going to be pulling in the order information, such as the order ID. And we can just come in here and change some of the language here. Now, you'll notice that it is in code, so you're not going to want to edit anything that's in brackets. However, you can change this text here easily enough. So let's call our template Custom New Order. And all we're going to do is come down here and let's see, somewhere we can add some custom text. You'll notice this is a lot of code here, so you might not want to be too gung-ho about just deleting things. So now it says, thank you for your order from store name. We don't want to have it say this. We just want to have it say, thank you for your order. So I can go ahead and delete all of this stuff right here. Now it just says, thank you for your order. Now all we have to do is click preview our template, and we can see it says, thank you for your order. Great, that's just what we wanted. So now we just click Save Template. However, the store isn't using this template just yet. We still have to go to System Configuration. Now, under Sales, we're going to go to Sales Emails. Under Order, you can see what template it's using. It's using the New Order default template from Local. If we click this, you can see our custom New Order template shows up. If we select this, click Save and Config, now our site is saved, and when new orders are placed, they're not going to get that thank you for your order from this store. They're going to get you thank you for your order. We've now successfully customized this template, and we've saved it so that when new orders get sent out, it's going to be using our custom template. You can go and do this for as many templates as you'd like. In fact, if you go to System Transactional Emails, Add New Template, and you click on this template list, you can see just how many email templates there are. And if you want to configure all these individually, you can do so using the same exact process we just did for the new order template. Well, now you know how to change store emails. In the next section of the series, we're going to start talking about shipping, tax, and accepting payment. In this video, we're going to talk about shipping methods. And we're just going to give a brief overview about the shipping methods available. So let's go to System Configuration. And if we scroll down, we can see we have shipping settings and shipping methods. Let's click Shipping Settings. And this is where you're just going to set the origin of your store. Well, our store is based in Michigan, so we can say Michigan. And I'll just have a zip code here. So this is how your site knows where things are going to be shipping from, so it can calculate the right shipping price. Now, also under our options, you can have your customers allowed to shipping to multiple addresses. I'm going to select this to no because it reduces the complexity of shipping a little bit. Let's click Save Configuration. Great, well those are shipping settings. Now let's take a look at the shipping methods. So directly under shipping settings, we can look at shipping methods. And you'll notice we have a flat rate, table rate, free shipping, UPS, USPS, FedEx, and DHL. Now in this video, we're going to go over talking about flat rate and free shipping, and then we're going to leave the other shipping methods to further videos within this section. So let's just open up flat rate here, and you can see that this is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a flat rate. Every single time that your customers purchase something, you can set it so it's either $5 per item or per order or whatever you want, but the price here, let's say if we wanted to say every single order is automatically $15 in shipping, it's per order is the type, price is $15. We can also add a handling fee, which can be percentage or an additional fixed amount. So if we wanted to say fixed $2 handling fee, now their shipping is going to be total of $17. Now there's also an error message which you can customize, and you can allow it for different countries. We can allow it for all countries or specific ones by shift selecting which countries we want. I'm going to say this is for all countries. They have the option of having this flat rate $15, and we'll say it shows up first. Well, this is a flat rate. It's really basic, and you can just have one flat rate shipping. That's exactly what it sounds. Next is something that also is exactly like it sounds. Free shipping. If we open up free shipping, you can choose to enable it here. We're going to select yes, and title is going to be free shipping. The method is going to be free. Actually, we're going to change this title to in-store pickup. And this is going to be for anybody who wants to pick up their order in our physical store, they can get their shipping for free. And you can have a minimum order amount. I'm not going to bother, as well as an error message here. And we can allow for, well, let's allow for specific countries. Since we're only here in the United States, it's not likely that you're going to be in-store pickupping from any other location. So we're going to say if you're in the United States, then we'll allow in-store pickup. And we're going to say not show this method if not applicable. The sort order is going to be 1. It's going to show up below our flat rate shipping. And notice how we also have this to be enabled. If we minimize these two things here, we can save our configuration. Now, when we go to our checkout in my cart, let's see if we put in our get quote here, you can see we have the option of a flat rate with our $17 fee or a in-store pickup. If we click flat rate and update total, it's going to add the shipping and handling flat rate fixed $17 to our total order. Great! Now that we have those shipping in, we can set up table rate shipping. So in the next video, we'll show you how to set up your table rates. In this video, we're going to go over table rate shipping. So from our shipping methods configuration menu, we're just going to click on table rates. And let's click to enable this. And we're going to give the title as just table rate. And notice how there's a condition here. So we can say that this is weight versus destination, price versus destination, or number of items versus destination. So this would say if you're sending this to maybe a particular state or anywhere with the price that's $0 to $5, it could be one shipping amount, or $5 to $20, it will be another shipping amount. So we're going to do it that way. We'll click price versus destination, and we're not going to include virtual products in a price calculation because they're virtual and they're not actually getting shipped, so this shouldn't actually count against the shipping. And we're also going to have a fixed handling fee of $2 tacked on to everything. And here's the same error message that we've seen in the other shipping message. And our allowed countries, this is going to be specifically for United States as well, because, maybe if we're sending it to some other country, we don't want them to take advantage of a $5 shipping rate when something's going to clearly cost way more than that. And we're also going to have this not show if not applicable. We can give this a sort order of 2. Now let's save this, and now let's check out our shopping cart. You'll notice that when we did our other 2 shipping methods, they showed up under our get a quote. So let's click get a quote once more, and we'll see we just have flat rate and in-store pickup still, although we do have table rate as enabled. That's because we haven't actually given Magento a table yet. We haven't given it any sort of data to pull from. So how do we do that? We actually need to go to this configuration scope, and let's select main website instead of default configuration. You'll now see an Export CSV button as well as a Import button. So let's click this Export CSV, and it's going to give us a table rates CSV file. So what you've downloaded is a basic CSV file that gives you the option to put country, state, zip code, order subtotal and above, and shipping price. And here we can fill this in with rates. So for country, I'm going to just put USA. Region, state is going to be asterisk. And the postal code is also going to be an asterisk because I don't really care where this is going. All I care is that the order is either $0 and above, and then they're going to get $5 shipped. Okay? Now we can copy over most of the stuff, so I'm going to copy this into the next couple of rows here. And the only things we're going to change here is the order subtotal. If the subtotal reaches $15, then they're going to pay $10 shipping. If it reaches $50, they're going to pay $15 shipping. And if their order's over $100, they're going to pay $20 shipping. So this method would be really good if you have particular products all within the certain range. However, we're going to see when we upload this that when our order is over $1,000, they're still going to get this shipping price of $20, and it might not be the best option here. So I'm just going to save this file, and now I'm going to upload it to our site. So now I'm going to import the file by clicking Choose File, and you can see our file is here, table rates, and all we have to do now is save our configuration, and we can see that it's been saved. So let's actually come back to our shopping cart page here again, and let's get another quote. If we scroll down, we can now see that our table rate is showing up as $22. Notice how our grand total is $3,700, so the shipping seems like a pretty good deal. So that's how you set up table rate shipping. Keep in mind, you can even limit your table rates by country, region, zip code, as we didn't do in this example. However, that is an option that's available to you. In the next video, we're going to talk about UPS shipping. In this video, we're going to talk about UPS shipping, and enabling UPS shipping is really easy. All we have to go to is the System, Configuration, and then Shipping Methods. Like we've been before, now we just need to click on the UPS tab, make sure that our current configuration scope is the default scope, and we have to select Yes for Enabled. Now we just have to configure the remaining options. So we can, instead of having United Parcel Service, we can just say UPS. Might be a little bit shorter for your customers. And we can say if the package request type divide to an equal weight, so it's just one request, or you can use the origin weight with a few requests. We're going to leave it divide to equal weight. Now container, you can select your container. We'll just say customer packaging. Now the destination is going to be residential. Our weight unit is going to be pounds, and our maximum weight limit, we can of course leave this at 150. It does say please consult your carrier. And our pickup method is going to be, let's see, regular daily pickup, because we have a UPS person that comes by once daily to pick our everyday packages up. All right, now we have our minimum package weight. Our calculate handling fee is going to be fixed, and it's going to be per order. There's going to be a $2 handling fee per order. And under allowed methods, these are the allowed methods that your customers are going to be able to pick based on where they're located and what's available to them. We can click and then shift click and select all of these, or they were already all selected. And we could also have a free method, which would be ground or any of these. However, we don't want a free option other than our in-store pickup, which we already have, so we're going to leave this free method as none. Now, minimum shipping order amount for free shipping, we're not going to have any because, of course, we want free shipping with minimum order disabled, like we have it said here. Just like these other options, we can display an error message and change that. And then we're going to leave this for all allowed countries. We're going to let our customers decide which shipping method that they're going to be using themselves. They'll be presented with options of costs and let them pick it out. Now, we want to see if the show method, if not applicable, no. Debug, no. And for sort order, we can just put this as 2. Now, let's save our site. Okay, great. Let's come back to our site. Let's refresh the shopping cart. Now, when we ask for a quote, you can see we have different options for UPS. We have ground is $12, 3-day select is $16.84, and you'll notice all these options have prices. Where is it getting these from? Well, It's actually going to UPS with this address here, giving in your total weight for your products, and it's using this shipping settings. It's using this address as your ship from address. Using that information, it actually calculates how much shipping is likely to be. This way, when you actually go to ship it, the cost is going to be accurate. Notice how this does not actually initiate any sort of shipping label or anything with UPS itself. So you'll still have to do that on your own. However, it gives you a great price for exactly what the UPS shipping price should be. In the next video, we're going to talk about USPS and how it's different. In this video, we're going to briefly explain USPS. The reason why it's going to be brief is because it's extremely similar to UPS, and it doesn't really need a ton of time. So if we open up this USPS tab, all we have to do is enable it, and then you'll notice that there's several different options here that we didn't have in UPS. Under UPS, we had some of the stuff like our maximum package weight and our calculate handling fee. We had a $2 handling fee, if you remember, per order. There's also this allowed methods. The free method we're saying is none. And the rest should look pretty darn similar. However, the stuff at the top is different enough to warrant just a little bit of explanation here. So this gateway and secure gateway URL are things you shouldn't have to touch. This is where the URLs that Magento is using to get the information from USPS. So these should stay the same. Of course, our title can be USPS for our customers, and you'll notice there's a user ID and password section here. Well, for USPS, you actually need to register for their Web Tools APIs, and you have to come to USPS.com and register for a Web Tools API account. There's actually a little bit of a delay between when you register and when you get your account, so if you are expecting to launch your site, make sure you do this early. So register, and then in a few days, they will send you your information that you need, your user ID and password. You can put that in here. You can select your mode to be live. And then you should start to see USPS show up on your website. Now keep in mind, if you don't have this user ID and password, USPS will just flat out not show up. So make sure you have all that set up, and USPS will be working the same as UPS. In this video, we're going to talk about payment methods. So this is just going to be a brief overview of payment methods, and then we're going to go on to set up PayPal, which is really the easiest payment method. Now let's go to System, Configuration. So here, if we scroll down to Payment Methods, you can see what payment methods we have available. And you notice that some of them are expanded by default, so we're just going to collapse these. And you see there's PayPal, and there's several different types of PayPal, all of which we're going to go over in the next video. Now we also have saved credit card, and we can scroll down here, and let's get rid of this one. We can also have check or money order. So check or money order would basically allow your customers to purchase things on your website and then send in payment with check or money order. So it sort of allows the transaction to go through, but of course you wouldn't mark it as being complete or shipped or anything until that check or money order arrived in the mail. Now, we have zero subtotal checkout, and if this is enabled, no payment information is required. This is only going to be showing up if you have a zero subtotal. Let's say if you're selling something for free, maybe like a free download or something. Now, we have bank transfer payment, and this is disabled, but again, this is going to work like cash or money order. You're going to want to set all this manually so that you can ship your order once and only once your payment's been received. Cash on delivery is really the same as check or money order, except for you get paid when you actually deliver the goods. Now, all of these don't have many options. You can see they're all pretty much the same. You can enable them for specific countries if you'd like. Let's say specific countries, and now because we're only going to be doing deliveries in the United States, we'll just check United States. And of course, when they place a new order, it's going to go into pending, which is probably good for any of these payment types. Now, we also have Authorize.net Direct Post and Authorize.net. Now, these will take a bit more configuration, so we're not going to go over them in this video series. However, basically, you just need to enable them, sign into your account, and then set it up with your Authorize.net provider. So these are our basic payment methods. If we scroll down here to Payment Services, you can see that there's 3D Secure Card Validation. Now this is something you can use if your merchant has this feature. However, if your merchant doesn't, you can feel free to ask them if they offer it. In the next video, we're going to show you how to set up PayPal Express. So in this video, we're going to show you to set up PayPal Payments Express. Now, if you're not sure about the different types of PayPal, you can always click here to learn about their different payment types. And keep in mind that most of them are going to be paid solutions. So all of these Payments Pro, under here Payflow Pro, these are going to be paid solutions where you're going to be having to pay PayPal as a merchant. The upside to these services are that your customers might not even realize they're using PayPal because PayPal is just going to be processing their transaction as a normal credit card on their site, and it won't necessarily say PayPal anywhere. Whereas with PayPal Express checkout, it's free. However, when they click Submit Order, it's going to take them to PayPal's site where they can log in, complete their transaction, and then get directed back to your site. Because PayPal Express is the free option, we're going to show you how easy it is to set up PayPal Express. So we're going to click Configure right here, and it opens up this information. For PayPal Express, it's asking you for some things here. You could just start filling in these things if you know them. However, you can get your credentials directly from PayPal. So let's click this button. And it's going to open up a link. Here I can put in my email address and password. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Log in. And while I can't display this information on the screen because it's sensitive, it's opened up a window that has my API username, API password, and signature in it. So you can go ahead and paste that information directly in here. I'm going to do this off camera so I don't have to worry about my account security. However, you're going to leave this as API signature, sandbox mode is no, API uses proxy is no, and then down here is our just basic settings. We can just change this from PayPal Express checkout to simply PayPal. It'll be first. We're going to be using this as authorization, and shortcut on the shopping cart, sure, we could also do that. And a shortcut on the product view, we could also do that. This just adds Pay with PayPal buttons to your site, so your customers can pay directly from the shopping cart or product view without having to go to the checkout screen. So I'm going to add my information here and save this. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added my credentials. However, they're all blacked out so you can't see them. This just enables my security, so my information remains safe. I suggest you would keep your own API information safe as well. Now we just need to check Enable the solution and save this. Once it's saved, we'll go to our cart screen and see our payment option. Great, so let's go to Shopping Cart. I'm going to refresh this page. From here, we now see PayPal buttons. So if we click this, it's going to take you directly to PayPal. It looks like the shipping address, city, state, postal code has failed. So PayPal is actually seeing that the address I put in here, the zip code is not from Alabama. So let's actually add a real one and we can get this working. 48130, great. And we'll have to click Get a Quote. And then now we can check out with PayPal. As you can see, it's taking me directly to PayPal's page where I can go ahead and enter my password, and it's going to make this transaction for $30. Let's go back, and let's proceed to checkout this time. Now, if we check out, I'm going to enter some information here. I'm going to click Continue. Now I'm going to select In-Store Pickup, and you'll notice PayPal is an option. Let's select this. It gives your customers a warning they're going to be redirected. When they click Continue, it's going to take them to the same screen they were just at. Now, after you complete this transaction, it'll take you back to your site with the payment completed so you can finish your order. Great, well now we've set up PayPal and you can start accepting payments right away. So enter your PayPal information and get going. So in this video, we're going to be setting up our tax rules. And before we can set up tax rules, we have to set up some other things first. If we go to Sales, Tax, we need to add some tax zones. Now, you can import and export your tax zone rates here just by simply clicking Export Tax Rules. It's going to give you this CSV file. If I open this up, you can see that it's just a table where we have California, New York. Notice these are rate codes, the country, the state, and the zip code, the rate. And so this table is actually our rates. So we can add rates if you have many different areas to add them to by just filling out additional rows in the CSV, or we can add them through the interface. Let's add them through the interface because we only want to add one right now. So we can go to Sales, Tax, Manage Tax Zones, and Rates. So this has those two rates that we just saw in the CSV, California, New York, and you'll notice that there's a tax identifier, country, state, region, all this stuff, and it's the exact same as what we saw in that table. Well, let's click Add a New Tax Rate, and I'm going to add one for Michigan. So you can give this whatever sort of identifier you like. I'm just going to say Michigan. So the country is going to be United States, and the state we're now going to select as actually being Michigan. So this is what tells Magento that the tax rate will apply when somebody is from Michigan. And this zip post is range. You can set up ranges of zip codes to only have this tax rule applied to. Since this isn't going to be a range of zip codes, I'm actually just going to leave this as no, and we'll leave this asterisk here under zip postal code, because this means that any postal code in Michigan will be charged tax. Now I just need to add Michigan's sales tax, which is 6%, so I can just put in 6 here. And I don't need any sort of special tax titles for different languages. Let's click Save Rate. Now see we have our Michigan tax rate, and it'll be 6% if you're from Michigan with any zip code. Next thing we need to do is add this to a tax rule. So let's go to Sales, Tax, and Manage Tax Rules. And you'll notice that there's a couple of tax rules here. And these rules basically just decide when a customer is charged tax. Let's click Add a New Tax Rule so we can explore. Now, let's just say this is General Tax. And this is going to be for retail customers, and it's going to be on default product tax class. Notice we have taxable goods and shipping. You can actually create more of these if you need separate tax classes for different types of products. And as well as customer tax classes, you can create additional customer tax classes if different people are charged different tax rates based on what type of customer they are. Well, we have retail customers and a default products tax class, and our tax rate is going to be Michigan, which is the one we just created. Now, we're going to say this is going to be of 0 priority, and because 0 means it's going to be of the highest priority, sort order is also going to be 0. And let's save this tax rule. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete these other tax rules because I actually don't want people in New York or California charged tax on my site. Just delete them like this. Okay, they're gone. Now, let's try to buy a product. And let's just add one to my cart. These women's shoes, sure, why not? Looks like I already had a ton of stuff in my cart. And we can see this tax information being added once we enter Michigan into this estimate shipping, and we can put in a postal code. Let's click Get Quote. And you'll notice we have tax being applied to our subtotal now. And I don't have a calculator handy, but it looks to be about 6%. Great, so this is sales tax being added through Magento through the tax rule we just created. Now that we know how to set up sales tax, we can look into setting up shipping. So in this section, we're going to talk all about what happens when you place an order and how you can run your store once people place orders. So I thought it would be helpful for this first video just to see the process of completing an order. As somebody who's on your store, you're going to want to know exactly what the order process is like for them. So let's go ahead and add things to our cart. First, let's go to my cart. And of course, it says my shopping cart is empty. Let's go to apparel, hats. Let's add one of these new hats to the cart. And I'm going to look at winter hats number 2 right here. And I'm going to add one single sports baseball hat. And I'm just going to add to cart here. So it's taken us to the shopping cart page. Now let's go ahead and proceed to checkout. Here it's asking if you want to check out as a guest or register for an account. Now, if you already have an account, you can log in with your information here. Although my browser's incorrectly saying that I have an email address named admin, this is because my keychain thinks I have a login for this site. Notice how your admin password and login that you use for the admin section of your site will not work as a front-end account. These accounts are completely different, and you will need to create a new account as a registered guest, or you will just have to check out as a guest if you'd like to try this process. I'm going to click register just because I want to have an account here when I need to test things. So let's go to continue, and I'm going to fill in my information. I'll cut back to this video once everything's filled out. Okay, I filled in this information. Notice how I can ship to a different address or ship to this address. I'm going to click ship to this address and we'll click continue. And now we see our shipping methods. I'm going to select in-store pickup because I'm going to pick this up in-store. Click continue. And let's do checker money order. I'm selecting this one because this allows the order to go through without me actually having to put my payment information in anywhere. That's good for just testing things, because you really don't want to have to test something with your real credit card information and have it charge you or something. So let's click continue. And now you'll notice here's our order review. One last step before we place our order, it's just confirming the total price that's about to be charged. In this case, it's just going to be the price that I will owe in a checker money order. So when I place order, it's going to process for a second, submitting order information, and it's going to take me to this screen, saying my order has been received and my order number is 100002. Okay, and so the more orders you have, the more this order number will go up. I can click here to print a copy of my order confirmation. When I come here, it opens a print dialog, as well as taking me to this invoice created page where it has all of this information. Great. Well, let's click continue shopping and it's going to kick me out to the home page. Then we've now just placed an order as a customer would on your site, and you can see the experience as it is. We also now have an order to work with in the back end. So in the next video, we're going to go over what actually happens when an order is placed. In this video, we're going to look at what happens when an order is placed. And then we're going to use that base to move on to how to manage your orders in the back end, how to modify your orders, then go on to creating invoices and then shipping the orders and completing your process. Well, so we've placed an order as a customer on the front end. This customer is going to be receiving an email saying that they've made their purchase and with the detailed information about their purchase, such as how much it cost, based on the email template that is stored in the Magento system. And we went over how to change those email templates in the Modifying Your Story Emails video in section 5. So if you get that email and you're unhappy with how it is, go ahead and watch that video in section 5, Modifying Story Emails, and there you can modify that email. Now, if we go to the back end of our site, we can see in the dashboard that we have an order here. One of our last 5 orders was to me for $15. Now, when an order is placed, you'll see it in your last 5 orders, and we'll also see it under Sales Orders. Here it is. Here's the information. Notice how it says Status Pending. However, what you need to know about statuses right now is that when an order comes in, it's going to be pending. And then based off what you do with it, whether you invoice it or ship it, it's going to change the status. This lets you track your orders in various statuses and keep track of what's shipped, what's been invoiced, and what's just pending. Now let's go to Sales Invoices. You'll see nothing's happened. Along with sales and shipments, this order is not going to show up in any of these categories until we change its status. So in the next video, we're going to go over managing orders in the back end, and you'll see how we can manage our order and change its status. Now we have an order back here. We're under Sales Orders, and we want to manage our orders. Notice how we just have one order here, so let's create a new one. To create a new order, we don't always have to do it from the front end. We can also click this Create New Order button right here. And you'll notice you'll have your customers. By default, John Doe exists in here. However, any customer that signs up for your store will be listed here. If they're not here, you can create a new customer with the information that they've given you. Chances are, if you're creating a new order, you have all their information or they're on the phone and you just want to, take care of this quickly for them so you can get the information then create a new customer. However, I'm going to click my name, and it's going to be in the English version of this store. So here I'm going to click this Add Products button, and we'll just select one of these, and we can say 2 of these. Now that this checkbox is checked, I have 2 in the quantity to add. We still need to click this Add Selected Product button to order. This is now in here, and we could change this a custom price if we needed to. Let's see, we have a quantity of 2, and look, it's all good. We can even remove it if we need to. However, this is exactly what we want. Now, if you'll notice, it has my customers' billing and shipping information already in. Next, we just need to click this Get Shipping Methods. It's going to return some shipping methods, and we're going to say they're paying with check or money order again, and in-store pickup, and let's submit this order. Notice how there's a checkbox for email order confirmation. It seems like a nice thing to do, however, not totally necessary if your customer is knowing and fully aware of this purchase. However, we're just going to leave this checked for now. We'll click Submit Order. This order has been created, and let's go to our orders page. We now see that there's 2 orders. Perfect. Well, what happens if a customer is all of a sudden not wanting to do their order? Well, we can manage that from 2 locations. We could come into our order by clicking it, and then click Cancel. We could also resend an email. However, we could do that from here, just by checking this checkbox, and then our actions drop down in the top right. We could say Cancel, and then Submit. Now, this order's been canceled, and it shows up in our orders as canceled. Now, what happens if we just want to see only the pending orders? Well, we can do that by clicking this status dropdown, and we can click pending. And now when we click search, it's only going to show us our pending orders. Well, this is perfect. Well, what happens if we want to see all of orders? Of course, we can either click reset filter, or we can set the status to be blank. Let's just click reset filter. Now, I want to see our pending and our canceled orders still, but I want to see our pending orders at the top. Well, by clicking the status at the top here, it's going to reorder them. Click it again. Now pending's at the top. By default, it's always going to have it by your order number. This way, your most recent order is at the top, regardless if it's canceled, pending, invoice, shipped, or anything. Great, so we now know how to manage our orders. So now we're ready to take this to the next step. This order is pending, and we want to make it so it's invoiced. So in the next video, we're going to go over the process of invoicing this order. And then in the video after that, we're going to talk about shipping the order and completing the entire process. So now we've gone over managing our orders. What happens if we want to edit an order? Well, order editing in Magento is a little different than just coming in here and editing. We actually have to cancel this and create a new order. Luckily, Magento does that for you. So let's click on this pending order. And let's say I actually wanted 2 of these and not 1 of them. Well, you'll notice there is an edit button right up here. So let's go ahead and click this edit button, and it's going to give us this dialog. This says, "Are you sure? This order is going to be canceled and a new one will be created instead," which is fine because we don't have any attachment to this order number or anything. This is in fact going to essentially duplicate the order. So let's click OK. Now we have the option of changing things. Like we wanted to change this quantity to 2. Now let's click Update Items and Quantities, and you can see our subtotals changed. And let's actually add a product too. Let's add one of the sports baseball hats. Actually, let's add a winter green hat instead. And we want 1 of them. And for our option, we want it to be green. So let's click OK. And now let's click this Add Selected Products to Order. Great, so we now have $45 worth of products now instead of 15. Notice how you can even apply a coupon code now. All sorts of stuff. We can change the address here. Let's say it's a different shipping address. We just have to uncheck this and then we can modify the shipping address. Or leave this checked and have it be the same as the billing address. This, of course, is being brought in from the customer that made this purchase before, so we don't have to edit any of their information again. So it's essentially duplicating this order, all of their information, and then allowing us to change it. And then once we submit this order, it's going to create a new one. So let's leave this as check or money order. We can get shipping methods and rates. Now let's pick in-store pickup once more. And we can add a comment here. Needed additional goods. Okay, and now let's have them email order confirmation set to checked, and let's submit this order. Great, and now since an order's been created, and notice we have a new order number. However, it's not incrementally different. It's now 2-1. So let's go to sales orders, and we can see they exist as two separate orders. However, they're tied together because they're actually, one is just above the other one, -1. So now even though we just did this right now, and the purchase on date is more recent than order number 3, because this is order 2-1, it's going to show up directly above the old order in the list. And you'll notice that it's automatically set this other one to canceled, and this one is now pending. So of course, if we filter for our pending orders only, we just get this newly created -2-1 order. Great. Well, in the next video, we're going to take this order right here and invoice it. So we have our order ready to go, and now we want to invoice it. We want to be able to give a invoice to our people that work in our store to go pull the product to get ready to ship it. And we also want an email to go off to our customer to let them know that we have the product and it's being processed. So let's go ahead and click this order, and we'll see exactly how easy this is. Now, we see this invoices tab right here, and there's not going to be anything, as well as no credit memos, no shipments, and just our needed additional goods comment from the comments history. And you'll notice there's nothing under transactions either. So let's go up to information. And let's check this out. Everything looks good. We don't need to add any comments. And perfect. Ready to invoice this. So let's click Invoice. And you'll notice it creates this new invoice page with the complete product information. We can actually even go through and make sure that everything is good before we're ready to go in terms of quantities or anything like that. And at the grand total, we can even add comments on the invoice. And let's check this email copy of an invoice, because this will email a copy of this to our customer. Notice how it's unchecked by default. So if we click Submit Invoice, an invoice has now been created. Although we don't see anything from our order view here, we can go to Invoices and see that we have this invoice here, billed to me, its status is paid. So the customer has come in and paid. So let's click this button here. And this opens the invoice as we saw it. The only difference is it doesn't allow us to make any changes. We can just add comments on it. So if we want to send another email, we can always click the Send Email button and it'll send. However, it does tell us that the invoice email was already sent. So we don't want to do that. However, we want to print this out. So let's click this Print button. And this is going to create a PDF for us. So let's click this PDF and check it out. Well, this is the default invoice that Magento creates. It is like a packing slip or something like that. We basically just have a list of our products with the price, the tax, a subtotal, and our grand total. It also has who it's sold to, who it's shipped to, the shipping method, the payment information, the order and invoice number. Pretty much any bit of important information we want to see is going to be on this piece of paper. And then we can choose to do with this whether we want to use this as a packing slip or a pull slip or anything like that. So we've now invoiced this order, and we've packed everything all up and it's ready to be shipped. Well, in the next video, we're going to show you how to complete the order process and ship this order. So now that we've invoiced this order, if we go to our sales orders page, we'll see that it's now set to processing and it's no longer set to pending. In fact, if we go to sales invoices, we'll now see that we have an invoice and its status is paid. We still won't see anything under shipments yet, so let's go back to orders and let's click on our processing. So this order is all ready to go. Notice how our invoice button is no longer here. We could, of course, hold this, we could reorder it, and it would create a duplicate order. We could also resend an email. However, we want to ship this product. This is going to be shipped. So let's click this button here. And now this creates a screen similar to the invoice screen, and it's just to review everything to make sure you're ready to go. And payment information, billing address, everything's all ready to go. And you have the option of adding a tracking number. So if you've completed this shipment with your USPS or UPS service provider and you have a tracking number, you can click this button here. You can select your carrier, the title, and the tracking number. Of course, if you need to delete this, you can always just click this button here. Since we're picking in-store pickup, we don't need to add a tracking number. However, it would be helpful to add to your customers if you have that information. Now everything's ready to go. Notice how you don't always have to ship everything that has been ordered. In fact, we could ship one of two if that's all we had in stock, and then of course ship the rest later. However, we're going to ship everything because we have everything in stock, and it's all good. And we want to email a copy of the shipment to our customer. Of course, if we added a tracking number, it would have that number on the email. And these emails, just like any of the other ones, can be configured. And if you need to know how to do that, you can always check out section 5, modifying your store emails. So let's click Submit Shipment. Great, well the shipment has been sent and everything is great. Now if we go to Shipments here on the left, we click on our shipment. We can, 1, send our tracking information in an email, or we can print this. So let's print this order here, and you can see it creates a PDF. And this is a packing slip for your order. So this is a bit different than the invoice, and this is really just a packing slip, and it doesn't have the grand totals or anything like that. However, if you need a packing slip, you can always just print one of these out, throw it in your order, and everything should be ready to go. So now that you have shipped the order, let's go back to Sales Orders. You'll notice that your order is now set to complete. This completes the process of an order. By shipping the product, you have now said that the product is on its way to the customer and you have been paid, and this is all that you need to do until the customer needs to purchase another product or create another order with your store. So now let's go to Dashboard, and you can see in the last 24 hours we now have an order. And it's showing up on this graph with a revenue of $45. And we have our customers and everything is showing up great. So we've now completed the process of submitting and taking care of an order when somebody places an order on your store. In the next section, we're going to wrap things up talking about managing your store. So now that we have our site all up and running, it's accepting orders, we're creating products, everything's working really well. We know what to do once we get a product. So in these last couple of videos here, this is section 8, we're just going to be going over things you could do to manage your store. So in this first section, we're just going to talk about managing customer lists. So if we go to Customers, Manage Customers, you can see the 2 customers that have their accounts created on our site already. And we have myself and John Doe. John Doe is just a customer that's created with the sample content, so we don't have to worry about him, but if we click on it, we can go ahead and edit any of John Doe's information. So you'll notice they have everything here. This is just a default overview. We can look at their recent orders. We can see things in their shopping cart. We can see things on their wish list. So if we go to account information, we can see that this was created from the main website. You can change your name, so if this person actually spells their name without an H, you could have it be spelled like this. For some reason they messed up, they need you to come in here and change it. You can go ahead and do that for them, nice and easy. So we can save and continue to edit. Now that information is going to be saved. Notice how their name is updated up here. We can also give them new addresses. We can look at their orders. We can look at their billing agreements. If they have any reoccurring profiles, we can see what's in their shopping cart, what's on their wish list, and if they're subscribed to the newsletter or not, you can go ahead and click this, and you can see which newsletters they're getting, which products they reviewed, and product tags. So look at this, John Doe has actually gone ahead and tagged all these products, so that's really great. And if we wanted to place an order for John Doe, we could do that through Sales Orders and click Create an Order. Or if we already needed to modify some things in their profile, directly from here we can click Create Order. And this allows us to create an order from John Doe with exactly what he wants. Maybe he's called up and he doesn't have access to a computer, but he'd really like to, reorder something he had before or purchase something that he knows exactly what it is. and his credit card, he'll give you that over the phone, or maybe he has a credit card on file, or it's check or money order or something. So this is a way that allows you to have greater control, and if you want to place orders or manage your customers for them, you can go ahead and do that as a customer service sort of thing. Now notice you can also make customer groups. Notice how we have the general not logged in. I don't know what this QAA one is. I believe it's just something that comes in here as just an extra category. We have retailer and wholesale. So this allows you to set up custom pricing based on whether they're a wholesale or resale, anything like that. It just allows you to create customer groups. So for some reason, if you had, a super special customer group that had discount rates on shipping and stuff like that, you could add a new customer group and then go into your manage customers here. We could click on, we'll click on me, and let's go to account information, and we can actually change what customer group they're in. So let's say I'm in a wholesale. I can save this customer, and I'm now a wholesale customer. And notice how that shows up right here. So if we need to, we could filter and say, only show us our wholesale customers, and this will show us everybody. The last thing under the Customers tab is Online Customers. If we click here, you can see which people are on your store, if they have an account or if they don't. Now, if somebody's browsing your store and they have an account, it will show up as them being here. However, if they don't, it's just going to show you their IP address. So you have access to see how many people are currently browsing things on your site. It even tells you what their last activity is. This can be really handy if you want to know exactly how many people are on at once or that kind of thing. You want to know where people are doing, or if you have repeat shoppers or mostly anonymous shoppers. So great, this is how we can manage customers. And if we needed to delete a customer for any reason, let's reset this filter. I'm going to go ahead and delete John Doe here. I can actually delete this customer by clicking the big red button here. And now in fact, I'm going to delete John Doe because he's not real. And I just don't need to have anything that's not real in my store. So John Doe is gone and this customer is deleted. Now if anybody actually named John Doe wants to create an account, they don't have to worry about any conflicts having somebody else with the same name with their account. Great, so this is how you manage your customers. In the next video, we're going to talk about store search. So in this video, we're going to talk about search. And one thing to know about search is it doesn't just search the title of your products. So for instance, if I just type in blue here and search, we're going to get a bunch of different things. Notice how we get a BlackBerry Pearl, we get a Sony Ericsson, we get all this stuff, but nothing really says blue here. So let's click on one of these, and let's look through this. And I'm actually going to do Command F as find for blue. And notice how it finds the word Bluetooth and this in-depth additional information. Well, that might not be exactly what I want to show up for blue. They're probably going to be searching for maybe a title or a color or something like that. And, we might not want this in-depth category to be searched. So what's a way that we can make this additional in-depth category not be searched? Well, if we go to our attributes, we go to Catalog Attributes, Manage Attributes. Now let's look for in-depth. It's right here. And you'll notice that it is set to being searchable. If I click this, and I go down here to the bottom, using quick search is set to yes. So I can click this no, and now it's not going to be used in search. So let's go ahead and save this attribute. And it's going to want me to update my index. So clicking this index management, I'll just check these two boxes and then click submit next to the reindex data button. Once our site's reindexed, we're going to try to search for that word blue again and see if this BlackBerry comes up. Because if we notice here, the only place that blue actually shows up is in this in-depth information. So this will be done in just 1 second, and then we can try searching again. Okay, our data's been reindexed. Now let's come up to the top and let's search blue again. Notice our phone doesn't show up anymore. Well, that's great. And it's actually just something that you should be cautious of is just maybe to look through your most recent search terms and see if those search terms are actually coming up with things that you would expect them to come up with. So how do we do that? If we go to our admin section, we can go to Catalog and then Search Terms. And this is going to show us the most recent search terms and how many times this term has been searched. So if we click this number of uses, we can see that blue has been searched twice, and that was just recent. In fact, if we come up here, we search once more for blue, and we were to refresh this page, you would see that blue now has 3 numbers of uses. So this is how many times people are searching the word blue. And right now, all this data information that comes in here is stuff that comes with the sample data. So before you launch your store, if you have the sample data in here, I would go in and delete all this out so it's actually accurate. Because if you'll notice, the word computer has been searched 2,032 times. However, that's all fake data. So we want to make sure that when things are being searched, for instance, red right here, it's a search term that's been used 596 times and it returns 20 results, that those 20 results are going to be what we would think. Let's click on this and you can just see this information right here, and you can actually enter a synonym for. So basically, this is going to make your search for the query above return the results for this search. So if we wanted the word blue to be a synonym for Bluetooth, and people are searching for blue, we could just type in Bluetooth here, and anytime they search for blue, it would also search for Bluetooth. We of course don't want to do that. However, it definitely enables you to do that, which is a great thing, because sometimes, some words, maybe acronyms and stuff like that, can be used, and synonyms might be really necessary. So let's go ahead and actually search for red and see what comes back. I search for red. Let's check out this phone right here and find out exactly where red is coming from. So if you'll notice, the word red does show up here. It's not actually by itself anywhere. In fact, it's just part of other words, infrared, uncluttered, wired, and this search is just looking for this term and it's going to pull it out regardless. So one thing we can do is come into Configuration, and then under Catalog, we could scroll down here and set the search type to be combined, like, and full text, or just full text. And what full text is going to do is look for exactly that text. So, and if we were to set full text and save this, and then if we were to index management, refresh the index, of course, let's submit this. Now if we search for something like green, we're only going to pick up things that directly have the word green. Well, let's do a quick find for green, and we're not seeing anything. So where is this green? Where is it not showing up here? Well, let's go check out this product in the back end. I'm just going to highlight this here, and then let's go to Catalog, Manage Product, paste the name in here, and let's click on this, and we can see possibly where it's getting this. If we go under T-shirts attributes, you'll see that it has the color of green. Now let's check out this attribute color. If we go to our backend, Catalog, Manage Attributes, and we look at color here, we can click on this. Let's scroll down to the bottom here. And it's shown to not be visible on the front end, not used in product listing. However, it is said to be used in search. So because of that, it's not showing up anywhere on the page, but when your search is still looking for green, it's still going to find this product because it's set to green. Now, one common tactic might be to have a keywords field that you always put your particular keywords in that you want people to find things for, and then have all of the other attributes not be searchable. So we could set color to not be searchable. We could set pretty much every single attribute to not be searchable except for the meta information. So we could have this meta keywords, meta description, and meta title all be searchable, nothing else, and then you have complete control over the text that's searchable. Now, there are many tactics, and I think the best way to do it is to just check out your catalog, search terms, see what people are searching for, and then see what the results are. That way you can then modify how the site's searching to better get results that your customers are going to want. So in this video, we're going to talk about ratings. And in the next video, we're going to complete this with talking about reviews. So let's go to one of our products. Let's just go to this sweatshirt, and you'll notice that there's 2 reviews. But next to the review is the star rating. So if we click on this review, we can see that it opens up the star rating here. So people have given this 5 stars for quality, 3 stars for price, and 4 for value. These stars right here are not the review actually, they're part of something called the rating. And you'll notice when you're given an option to write a review, you have this quality, price, and value here where you can give it the stars. And this will allow people on your site to add reviews and rate your products, which will show up on the front end of your store with a star rating. Now this is really helpful if you have products from different manufacturers or things like that, so that other customers know which products are the best and maybe which ones are the best value or which ones have the best quality, which of these things that they value the most. So how do we modify what stars make up the review? Well, let's go to the back end of the site and let's go to Catalog, Reviews and Ratings, and then Manage Ratings. You'll notice we still have quality, value, and price, all with the 0 sort order. If you were to change that sort order, it would change the order in which they show up. Let's add a new rating. So for this rating, we can give it a value, and let's think about what this value could be. And since there's a lot of electronics on the store, we can have this be ease of use. And of course, this might not apply to clothes, but ease of use sounds fine for now. And we can set this to be at our main store by shift-clicking all of the languages. And we can give this a sort order of 0 as well. And let's click Save Rating. Great, we now have ease of use. When we refresh this page, we'll now see that even though this past review did not have ease of use placed in their review, the ease of use rating is now listed in our ratings for our review. Great. Well, in the next lesson, we're going to submit this review and go over what happens at that point. So now that we've added a new rating, let's actually review this product. And so since this is a sweatshirt, we can give it 5 stars for the ease of use. We'll give it a 4 for quality, a 3 for price, and a 5 for value. And so let's give this review a nickname. We can call this Good Start. And a summary of your review can just say, great new product, and nice new store, product was wonderful. Great. So this is our little review. Even though it says something about the store, it's still about the product. And we're giving the product a rating. So let's click Submit this review. Now when we submit, you notice it says this review has been accepted for moderation. If we scroll down here, we still only see this one review. So let's go to our backend, and we can click Catalog, Reviews and Ratings, Manage Customer Reviews, and click Pending Reviews. Now this is going to show the review that we just put in. Now this is pending because without moderation, the review isn't going to show up on the site. We don't want basically anybody to come in and write something maybe that's not accurate or maybe just content that you don't want posted publicly on your site and then have it just instantly go live. So this gives you a nice opportunity to make sure that the review is fair and accurate. So that's not to say you should deny reviews that are bad or anything like that, but you should make sure that they are at least about the product that's being published here. So let's click on the review here. And now we can see the full extent of the review. It gives it different star ratings, and here's the texture of the review itself. Looks perfect to me, so let's click Save Review. And notice how saving it doesn't really do anything. Let's click this checkbox next to it. Now up in the top right where the actions are, you can click Update Status, then select its status to be approved, and now let's click Submit. Now there's no more pending reviews. If we go to Catalog, Reviews and Ratings, Customer Reviews, All Reviews, it's going to show us the reviews. So let's come back to our page here, and let's refresh this. And we now see our new review with ease of use and price, value, and our comments, even that it was posted on this date today. And here's a link to the review itself. if you click on it, it links to the review details, which is really just a page with the hoodie on it. And if we go back to our product, all right, you'll notice that we now have 2 reviews and our values and our quality and everything has been updated. So with our review mixed with the past review, value now has 4.5 stars as well as quality. So Magento does a great job of keeping track of all the reviews and then managing the overall review based on customer reviews. Great. Well, in the next video, we're going to go over tagging. So now that we've gone over reviews and ratings, let's look at another way that users can interact with your site to leave an impression on products. And one way is tagging products, and people can tag products so that they're easily more found for other people. So in terms of this particular product, it's a band sweatshirt. It's printed on a green hoodie, and it looks like it might be for winter. So these are all things we might want to tag this as. So as a user of this site, let's scroll down here, and we have this add your tags. So it looks like you can add tags, and if you want to have multiple tags, you can just use spaces, or if you want to have phrase, you can wrap them in single quotes. So we can say music, we can say winter, green, hoodie, and we could also maybe in tags put the Get Up Kids, because that I believe is the band. And it looks like we have 4 tags and then 1 phrase tag. Now if we click add tags, it's going to ask us to log in, because the people who can add tags are people with registered accounts. Now we made an account here with my email address, so I'm going to log in here. And now it says my tags have been accepted for moderation and my tag green has been added to the product. So what does this mean exactly? Well, let's in fact go to this product. So in our dashboard, let's go to Manage Products and let's look at this sweatshirt here. Let's scroll down to Product Tags, and you'll notice that 1 tag green has already been approved. We already have hoodie, music, the Get Up Kids, and winter. So from here, we could click on a tag and get it to be approved by just clicking this Approve tag, and now we can save it. And if there's a tag we didn't want, so let's go back to the Manage Products, their tags here. If there's a tag we didn't want, let's say we didn't really want winter to be approved for this, we could click this tag and we could set it to be disabled, or we could even delete the tag. Well, we might as well just delete this tag because we don't want to have this associated with anything anymore. So now it's gone. So let's go back once more to our product and then our product's tags. And you'll notice green and hoodie are approved, but music and the Get Up Kids are still pending. So why was green automatically approved? Well, there's actually a list of pre-accepted product tags. So let's find those. So if we go to Catalog Tags and then All Tags, it's going to show us these tags that have already been put into the site. And if we scroll down, you'll see blue is in here and it's approved already. And let's actually set this to view more than 20. We can view 50 at once. And we can see some of these other ones. Pool, couch, cranberry. So all of these words are approved tags that if customers were to come in and tag something, it would automatically get approved. So let's go ahead and tag this sweatshirt as beach. So let's come down here. And even though this isn't a beach sweatshirt, we'll see this in action. If we tag this as beach, add tag, it's going to tell us the tag beach has been added to the product. That's because it's already in this pre-approved tag list. So now, unfortunately, if we want to remove this beach tag from this product, we have to remove it entirely from the store, either disabling it, setting it as pending, or deleting the tag. So if we set this to disabled, it will disable this tag throughout the entire store, and it will disable it from that particular product. So let's just click delete tag, and it will be gone. Great. Now we just want to see the pending tags. So let's go to Catalog Tags, and then Pending Tags. From here, we can actually check these right here, and in our actions, we can do Change Status and approve them all at once. Now all of our tags are approved. Let's refresh this page, We can scroll down and we can see that green hoodie, the Get Up Kids, these are all tags that are on this product. Great, so you've now added tags, you've managed tags, you've deleted tags. You have complete control over how your customers are tagging your products.